Welcome to another. I just thought this isn't Friday. Welcome to Hold the Mic. We are your hosts. I'm ryanshead. That's Ian Sherman, brother. How's your anxiety doing?
Hey, I got my anxiety dog. So, I'm good to go, man. I came prepared for this night. All right, I came. The funny thing is, my wife might steal him, so I have no idea what to expect. All right.
Yeah, exactly.
It's all good. I don't know, man. No, I feel really good. We were just talking in the green room, and I love you. You were like, and I go, man, it's too soon. It's too soon. Like the night has just begun.
I mean,
it's just begun.
You're not wrong. I'm just still upset that it's even this close.
Hey, man.
Like those should all. There should be like maybe 3 or 4 red dots in a sea of blue with what has just transpired. You know, I was just talking to Jen about it before we came on the show.
Yeah.
You want to know why it's upsetting me? Because this is the first election of Donald Trump. Like we've gone through midterms and, you know, defeated some of the people he's endorsed and blah, blah, blah. Yeah. This is the first time that we're seeing people vote for an insurrectionist, a domestic terrorist.
You have an absolute point.
An adjudicated rapist.
Yeah.
An accused pedophile, a 34-time felon, and facing, I think, another 30 or 60 felonies.
Absolutely.
You know, like so this is a moral check on America.
This is definitely hide your wife, hide your kids type of situation when you start looking at your neighbor and like who votes for a person like this. And you're right. You're right. You're absolutely right. But at the same time, you know, it's eye-opening. It's one of those things where you should be paying attention to who these people are because they are willing to look past so many things. And I just had this conversation with my brother about how he literally ran on the border, which it's like, yeah, okay, that makes sense. He wanted Langford's bill to crash and burn because he wanted to run on that versus running on 94 felons. Like one doesn't work out. You know what I mean? Like that doesn't sound like a good bumper sticker. And so you know you look at it, it's like, yeah, you got people who fall for the okey doke, but it's an early night, man. I'm not worried about it. You know. Hold tight, it's a red mirage. Like, yeah, we'll see. It's early.
We'll see.
We'll see. You know, there's a lot of people coming out. Like, it's not when you got people from literally 109 years old from Tulsa massacre voting for Kamala Harris. Like, people held on, ready to do this.
Yeah,
you know, Jimmy Carter.
I hope Quincy got his vote off.
I have a feeling he did. I feel like he voted early.
Is it bad that was like my second thought? I was like, oh fuck, Quincy. Not he was 91, had a long life, but it's just like
amazing life.
Yeah, you talk about people that touched our lives so many times. Yeah,
I'm doing that. I hope. Look. First and foremost, guys.
Mine's just Kool-Aid, but
welcome to Hold the Mic. Mine is adult Kool-Aid.
Yeah, mine's just Kool-Aid.
Welcome to Hold the Mic to everybody. We're doing the election night. Ryan and I really toast to you, my brother, for putting up with me for the last year, but for really enjoying the trolls. We got this far. We are here all together. The only thing I ask for, whatever happens tonight, let's not have a civil war and fuck up the Detroit Lions year, okay? I just want to make sure we see them get all the way to the end. So I see the hat. I see you. Toast to you, man. Toast to this show. And to all of you who are here with us.
To all our supporters.
Toast to you, all the supporters, even the trolls. I see you. It's not Friday.
But more of the supporters.
That is a dope-ass theme song. And, and one in a million. I just want to say thank you guys for being here. And like, subscribe, and enjoy the show for tonight. We're just going to be here to hang out. So. Say anything you want in the comments. We may roast your ass, or we may agree with you. We'll see.
Or we may just ignore you. And like I said, a shout out to Quincy Jones's family.
Quincy Jones, Q3.
Yeah, man.
Wild. I apparently look like one of his kids. So much.
Bro?
Q3.
Bro.
Yeah, and it's
you do.
I've been told that numerous times where I was like, I mean, if I can get like that dad check, like let's go.
I mean,
hey pops, like let's go. Let's do it.
You do look like
oh yeah.
Yep. And you look, maybe it's the same one, but you look a lot like one of Diana Ross's kids.
Again, I will take the check.
Right?
Let's
go.
So it's all there.
Mommy.
Don't get me in trouble. All right.
I know, right? I know.
I'm trying to stay out
Wilma's
of the
gonna come after me.
Don't get old Smiley on you, boy. You
I
gonna
know,
get in
right?
trouble. She be handing out ass whoopings with a smile. You better watch yourself.
This is insane.
I mean, this is the thing, guys. Here's the thing that you have to always constantly remind yourself.
That 50% of
To be
Americans are domestic terrorists that are willing to vote for a rapist?
keep in mind who stormed the Capitol. It was off-duty police officers, firemen, people who are protecting and
Veterans,
serving, veterans. This is the reality. So,
people that
but
swore oaths.
this is what happened last time too. It looked really dark. It looked like Trump was taking it, and then in the middle of the night, all of the votes that they started counting that were mail-in ballots, the ones that weren't burned this time around. So let's see what happens.
Or that the Supreme Court said can't be counted after tonight.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's gonna be fun, man. It's gonna be fun. So hey, we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Florida didn't even legalize marijuana. They voted no. Wow. Is that true?
I mean, once the votes are all tabulated, but I will say this to you. They definitely found a way to write as much as they can. The word verbiage is there to confuse anybody and everybody. So keep that in mind.
How is Michigan looking? Not quite sure yet. Let me pull up. Let me switch to a different thing here.
I think when they only a couple realized they were in a cult when they were looking around to the left and right that they were in garbage bags standing out there.
So right now it's looking like Vermont, New Hampshire, Massachusetts, Rhode Island, Connecticut, New Jersey, Maryland should be going for Kamala. Right now it looks like Vermont, Massachusetts, Rhode Island, Connecticut, and Maryland are highlighted, so I think those are confirmed. New Hampshire, New Jersey, Michigan, Ohio, North Carolina, and Virginia are all shaded blue, but not confirmed. If she gets Michigan and Ohio and Pennsylvania,
it's game over. Yeah, that'll be signed, sealed, delivered. And Michigan's looking good for her right now, and
I just can't believe that there are even 10 million Americans willing to vote for this dude.
Yeah, man.
11 million.
Yeah. Don't get it twisted. It exists. It exists.
That's why I bought the AR. These people are fucking crazy.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, and keep in mind that you are dealing with a cult. You are dealing with.
Oh, for sure.
We're wearing trash bags, Ryan. Trash bags. But it was very interesting to see how this whole campaign just started really starting to crash on this tail end, right?
Yeah.
The magnum opus of Madison Square Garden here in New York was the swan song of the real downfall, because and I really thought about this. If Trump would have said that Puerto Rico was garbage, do you think it would have landed? Do you know what I mean? Would it had the same impact? It took his orbit of people saying the same kind of shit he says for it to actually have weight to it.
Yeah.
Which this should be studied. This type of shit should really be looked at.
For sure.
It didn't come from him, but it came from everybody around him. He didn't denounce it. And then this is where people said, hold up, wait a minute. I don't accept that. And it's like, how is it he could say whatever he wanted, whatever he wanted. And it just was like, oh, he's just his bullshit.
Yeah.
But I did get into the arguments with a couple of folks where it was that, are you okay with this dude having a national ban? And they're like, no, and this is a girl I talked to, one of my conservative friends, and she's like, no, he said he's not going to do it. And I go, he also said that he's going to be a dictator for on day one. So which one should I believe? What's the rule of thumb with Trump where we know what to believe and not to believe?
Yeah.
So that we're in that boat.
Yeah, I just don't want to be in the position of having to tell these people I told you so for the next 4 years.
Well, I think that's what the show's for.
That's a kind of that I was just about to say that's a kind of employment I don't want.
You know what I mean?
You know what I mean?
That sounds like a black job I really do want to give up. You know what I mean? But at the same time, it's I get it. I totally get it. But you know what? I will say that we rose to the ranks to handle it, and we'll do whatever we need to do accordingly. So I felt very comfortable though, thinking about how many men are really actually stepping up to be there for their daughters, for their sisters. I did that post that really took off, which it was my mom. I'm sitting on her lap as a small child in the 80s, and then revisit, fast forward to just this a couple years ago, and then me signing Kamala Harris, and it's just like it was Tupac playing, and I was like, people love that clip. And it's like, yo, that's my love letter to her. I did one for my sisters. I laughed to you. I said, apparently me in a bathtub in the 80s showing my little baby nipples is getting me banned from TikTok. Whatever the case is.
It don't take much these days.
Doesn't take much, man. They didn't like it. Somebody told me, I'm disrespecting Tupac. I said, oh, I'll disrespect you, motherfucker. Like, I go, yeah. What's going on?
Oh, yeah. No. Well, there was a woman and like 380,000 people liked it. And she said something like, Kamala said she was listening to Tupac when she was in college, but Tupac was 10 when she was in college. So I had to educate her. Like, actually, Kamala Harris graduated with her Juris Doctorate in 1989. I was like, Tupac was already recording. He was about to connect up with Digital Underground. He was already putting out mixtapes in California.
That's right.
I'm like, so you don't know. And I said, and how sad is it that almost 500,000 people like that post because you don't know shit about hip hop?
That's right. That's right. Wrong people opening up their mouths.
Like you don't know about hip hop. Stop it.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So it's gonna be interesting. But you know what? I have to say to you, kudos to Kamala for pulling this off, for jumping in the race this late.
Yeah.
First and foremost, well deserved. Very impressed by her. Let's get it. Let's get it. But it's such an early night, and I expect him to get the states that he gets. And I expect him to get the electoral college votes that he gets. And that's where we're at. But as I've said, and I'm going to say it a couple times throughout the show, whatever happens, let's not interfere with the Lions winning this year. All right. You're not taking that away from me. You're not.
I know, right?
I just designed a varsity jacket. I am going full on Beverly Hills Cop. That's my, and I'm telling you right now, that is my positive for the evening. Okay. That is
your wife feel about that?
She'll need to know how much it costs, and she'll need to know about what I do with my life. Okay. This is my gift to myself. No, I
just gonna write that down. Okay.
I budgeted for this, and I made sure that I got to do what I wanted. I woke up at like 1 a.m, and I literally designed a jacket till 3 a.m, and then I just was like, all right, let me go ahead and make sure I got the measurements correct, and let's get this.
At least Mark Robinson's lost.
This is what I've been hoping for. Thank God Mark Robinson did not get the vote. That man is trash, straight up.
Good.
So it looks like it's garbage day, guys, and we're throwing out the trash.
Some of it, at least. Hey, Ruth, what's going on? Yeah, sorry, guys. I'm trying to pay attention. Happy wife. Happy wife, happy life, Ian. Ain't that the truth?
Uh-huh.
Especially when she's pregnant.
What's up, Patrick? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. We are expecting it at any moment, so I'm hoping for some positive news on the leader of the free world.
Yeah. Hopefully the stress from the election doesn't send your wife into freaking...
Oh, she's not watching this show, and she's not watching the news.
Yeah.
But I will say this, toast to democracy if we still have it.
Yeah. By the way, can I get an audio check? Are we good tonight, guys? Is everything moving smoothly? And yeah, I went back and downloaded the audio from the show in the first part of the show. It was so bad.
Oh, from last week?
Yeah. I could only post the second when we came back.
Got it. Yeah. Something happened.
Sucked because there were some good parts of that too. It was like 25 minutes. I was like, damn.
Yeah. But you know what? I'm glad we came back, man. It was a final Friday. It's just good to be in your space, Ryan. It's just a lot of fun.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if everybody agrees with that, but dude, this post, real quick, I got to talk about this. So, the older millennial came at me, who's a particular douche off of TikTok.
One of our elders, the millennial crowd.
Yeah, he's a douche. So I had this post go off, 134,000 likes, 12 million views, And the right-wing people in the comment sections are just losing their fucking minds. Like they're sharing their shit, purposely ratioing me on comments. Like it's hilarious.
Oh yeah.
And I'm just like, you guys realize like you're using me for clout, right? Like you're taking a viral tweet and you're posting with it because you want to get the my views. Like that's what you're doing. Like that's all these people have. And they're insulting me because I said I want to vote for Kamala Harris and Tim Walz because to protect my daughter's right to choose.
That's right.
And they instantly go to, well, maybe try teaching your daughter not to be a whore. Teach her about contraceptives. Teach her about birth control. Teach her to be a better person. All sorts of things. Now, doesn't take into account all the women recently who have died because they weren't able to get any type of abortion care because their pregnancies became unviable. Let's not talk about that. Yeah, let's talk about some unviable, fetus that isn't breathing. That I just don't understand these people. Like, well, I'm voting for my daughter, to protect life. It's like, no, like you're literally voting to kill her if something happens, God forbid. Like that's the reality.
It's interesting to me to see that first off that they're trying to attack you as a father, where it's just like, a lot of those people who are especially in Texas are dying who wanted kids. Yep. Like this, like the laws that you have now implemented that are literally torturing these women are people who really wanted to have families and wanted to continue to have families. So the narrative and when I think about that and then I go, okay, you talk so freely about my daughter, but like, what about your wife? You know what I mean? Like that's not where I'm willing to start the conversation. But if we need to talk about how, your wife is on knee pads, you know what I mean? Back in high school, it's like, we could talk about it, but we don't need to. We don't need to. We don't need to. Yep. We don't need to talk about resumes. And it's just like, but leave my child
and a lot
out of the conversation.
And the funny thing is, a lot of them, no names, no photos, 400 followers.
Yes.
And they're ratioing me. So it's like, clearly there's a bot program out there doing this.
Yes.
Like I'm not getting ratioed by many real people. See, again, Tim Miller, 500 followers, a dog photo. Like, come on. All these accounts seem to be the same. Oh, and then this was another good one.
But this is Elon's backyard, right?
This dude, 1 million followers this guy's got. He posted this. He said, Alex Becker said, let me get this straight. The single most important thing in this election to you, of all things, is your daughter being able to be raw dogged without consequences. Nice. A man with 1 million followers, everybody. And I was like, you realize you're talking about my 11-year-old daughter.
And and these are the people talking about they're trying to save the children. These people are pedophiles. All right. They fetishize children. And I'm just like, and I don't like to throw that word around. I don't like to have those accusations. But I will say to you, I've watched the Conservative Party.
If Ivanka weren't my daughter, perhaps I'd be dating her.
Right.
Right. This is who they're voting for.
Very nice figure. I've said that if Ivanka weren't my daughter, perhaps I'd be dating her.
But Ryan, can we talk about something that's very current?
What's the favorite thing you have in common with your father?
Either real estate or golf.
Donald, with your daughter?
Well, I was going to say sex, but I can't relate that part.
If I weren't happily married and, her father.
My daughter, Ivanka.
Yeah.
She's 6 feet tall. She's got the best body.
By the way, your daughter.
She's beautiful.
Can I say this? A piece of ass. Yeah. She looks more voluptuous than ever.
She's actually always been very voluptuous.
It's
she's
unbelievable.
Tall. She's almost 6 feet. You going up the escalator? I'm going to be dating her in 10 years. Can you believe it? She does have a very nice figure.
Like,
I've said that if
really?
Ivanka weren't my daughter.
No.
That's who y'all are voting for? And by the way, we're not even playing the tape of Donald Trump saying that he assaults women and grabs them by the because he's famous and they let him do it. Like, that's sexual assault.
Facts.
Just like they like differentiating between sexual abuse and rape. Like, can y'all tell me the difference?
Here's what I will say to you, Ryan, is I am really, really, really interested to see if Donald Trump, which I'm hearing there is some craziness happening in his camp, if there is, and I'm saying craziness as in like they're afraid of losing Pennsylvania, which we know if that happens, it's not looking good. And if that is the case, what I'm really interested in is what's going to be Judge Marchon's case sentencing that happens in a couple weeks. And then also, what does it look like for this man post all this as a citizen, ex-president?
Jail. I mean again, this dude literally isn't qualified to work at a fucking McDonald's.
Yeah.
If he filled out an application honestly, he would not even be interviewed for a job at McDonald's.
That's right.
That is a fact.
Yeah.
That's not hyperbole. That's not left-wing bullshit. It is a fact. You would not be able to get a job with the federal government. You would not be able to obtain a security clearance. You know, things that presidents need. There's 30 plus countries he wouldn't be able to travel to because he's a felon. How are you going to be president when you can't travel to some of our allies' countries?
Which would be so interesting to think about, where it's like, how would they have to teeter around those laws?
Right? How about you guys come meet us in Switzerland and we'll, you know, like, you have to come to me because, well, I can't. I'm on house arrest. I'm on house arrest in the White House.
Come to the White House. I'm on house arrest. I can't go past the lawn.
It's sad, but that's literally could be our reality.
The snipers are keeping me here. They won't let me go.
Could you imagine Donald Trump gets put on probation and he's president?
Actually could. That sounds very American.
That sounds very conservative Republican, doesn't it?
It sounds very American. I'm just gonna say that.
You know,
it's very Simpsons American. Well, one thing I wanted to talk to you about is
there a Simpson? First off, is there a Simpson episode where the president's wearing an ankle bracelet? Because if so,
it's coming true.
It's coming true.
They tell the future. They know it all. All right.
Sorry, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Seen it. It is. I've been dying to talk to you regarding Elon Musk and this fake ass lottery that happened in Pennsylvania, because everything comes out in court. Everything comes out in court. The Republicans say one thing, or let me just say mega. Let me remove this thing, because I do think that there are.
Well, clearly there ain't a fucking difference. So you might as well just call them Republicans.
No, because you have Kissinger, you have Cheney, you have Bush. The Bush
5, 10.
You have the governor. Okay.
Well, so far there's 15,247,829 domestic terrorists in America. So.
Well, you know, they exist. They walk among us. But the one thing that I really do think about is very simple, and that is that, and you knew these states. Don't sweat it. You know that these are the states that it was going to go for it. So it is what it is. But what I will say to you though, Ryan, is Elon Musk with this fake ass lottery, because in Pennsylvania they said you created a illegal lottery, and they said no, it's not a lottery. These were handpicked chosen people that are working for us, and that this is their this will be their pay, right?
Mm-hmm.
To be spokesmen, to be the people that we have that is set.
You knew they were going to find a fucking loophole.
Completely.
Yeah.
So the reality is it that they are employees that they picked, or is it that they're trying to find their way around in some way, shape, or form? But regardless of all that, he was forcing canvassers in Michigan, in Detroit, in our backyard, and then with the promise of pay, housing, and everything to compensate, and then ditched them, left them out there without any of those resources. Nothing. No pay, no housing, no meal plan, nothing.
Which is exactly what Donald Trump will do.
And so this it all leads back to the ground game that was robbed, where they literally gave all their money from the RNC, thanks to Laura Trump, to Trump's $2 billion in debt. Everybody keep in mind, he is racking up interest of $3.4 million monthly from just his legal fees here in New York. Then on top of that, his real estate is falling apart. New York has not bounced back yet from COVID. So when we talk about inflation, all these things, like, guys, keep in mind that there still is the global pandemic. This is the remnants of it. New York is not 100%. And I say that because people are still working remotely. So people aren't in the offices like they used to be here, where it was millions of people every day flocking into the city to fill these buildings. It's not like that anymore.
Yeah.
I couldn't give you the exact number, but I will say to you, I can
Well, it's
still
a big
get to
part.
Upper East Side in like 30 minutes.
It's a big part of their agenda, right? They fight so hard against remote work because then what happens to all these office buildings?
Oh yeah.
You know, what happens to all these businesses?
All the vendors around them, all the food shops, everybody's making money of you going to work.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's all about keeping you going
Capitalism.
to work.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, and it's one of the reasons they want to stop things like TikTok. TikTok is something that people can like make enough money off to live off of. And they don't like that. They don't like that people can literally just go out and start making videos and support themselves.
Right.
You know, like they're literally trying to take that away from people and make it harder. You know, and again, you know, I think Spotify just came out a couple of days ago and said it costs absolutely nothing or next to nothing for creators to create, you know, music and podcasts and whatever. And it's like, oh, so our time is nothing. Like my time like
everything.
Time is everything.
Time
Time
is
away
money.
from my kids, my family. It's time is money,
That's right.
everything.
That's right.
So like I value my time at a certain dollar. So
Oh,
it's
believe
like,
me, buying that varsity jacket, Ryan, I thought about how much time it cost me to afford that. You know what I mean? I was like, how much of my life am I putting in to make this? That's why I designed it myself, created it myself, and I am thoroughly looking forward to wearing it for the next Super Bowl this year.
it's just like it's just insane what we're seeing.
I'm not shocked. First and foremost, you should have expected this. I'm not shocked. And Ryan,
I expected it, but I hoped for better.
We're just closing.
Dude, I know, but like, no, it shouldn't be this close.
He said it. No.
Like Kamala should have fucking 20 million and Trump should have no more than 5.
Nah.
That's where it should be right now.
That's not America. That's not.
Well, but again, that's sad. So what we're saying, because literally what we're saying is that America is pro-rapist, pro-accused pedophile, pro-felon, right? Pro, I want to fuck my own daughter, which is the video I just showed. Like, you've got him on tape saying he grabs women by the pussy and they let him do it because he's famous.
Yeah.
January 6th happened. And again, that's the part that I think I'm dumbfounded. Is that, okay, yeah, they overlook the fact that he's a rapist, a prolific business fraud that fails at almost everything he fucking does. Like, they overlook all of that. Okay, fine. But you are overlooking the fact that this man tried to overthrow the government and has come out and said that he won't condone it, or won't say it won't happen again. Like, I just got another video of him today being like, no, I won't tell him that. I don't need to tell him that.
Oh no, he just put out there on his whatever social thing he's doing is that there's massive fraud happening in
exactly.
Pennsylvania.
He's already fucking spinning it up.
But he's been Ryan.
But that's my fucking point, dude. All these people, 16.2 million people so far, have said that they are okay with a fucking rapist, a felon, an accused pedophile, a domestic terrorist, a fucking overall failure. May I remind you, this dude literally campaigned in 2015 on repealing Obamacare. When he got into office, he had both fucking branches or chambers of Congress. He had the Senate and the House, and he couldn't get it done for 2 fucking years. They keep asking what the vice president got done. Let me ask you, what did Pence get done in his 4 years? How much of his agenda did Donald Trump get passed? Because I don't remember any of it.
Actually, I'll say this. Pence got a lot more done with Trump, and that was on January 6th when he certified an election and he said, this motherfucker is out of here. So you know what? That's the one thing that Pence did, and I'll give him that.
Yeah. And again, nobody that worked with this dude the first time around wants to work with him again.
40 top people that have worked in his administration are like, we do not.
He added $8.1 trillion to our deficit in 4 years with, what was it, 4.8 of it being before COVID even hit?
COVID. That's right. With the tax cuts, which he will make permanent if he comes back in office.
Yeah.
But Ryan, here's the thing. You got to remember that you're dealing with people who are psychologically invested in this man via the cult. Okay.
Yes.
So you have to first and foremost
And completely
understand,
ignorant to what he actually does.
when I talk to some of my Trump friends, they don't pay attention to any of the shit, or they don't believe any of the shit.
Yeah.
So everything that you have said, literally your entire list of everything that is his resume, out
Yeah, they
one
don't
ear,
care.
out the other. They don't.
But Kamala didn't
believe-
work at McDonald's when she was 17.
But the thing is, and this is why it was two different races. It was anything that he says is whatever. He's just being wackadoodle, whatever the case is. But she has to prove her policies to me. But this man has a concept of a plan. He's still trying to appeal Obamacare. And this is the thing where you got to pay attention to it. It's like, yeah, this is a Nepo fucking baby who made it by off of his father, Fred Trump's name in New York, has a chip on his shoulder, and he's always failed upwards, which, i.e., is of his generation. Now he's an older white man who literally can continue to fail forwards, where this woman has literally more experience than anybody running for president ever before. And that's the first thing they attacked. They said that she is not qualified. She has more experience than anybody else who's ever gone into that. She has more experience than JFK, more experience than Ronald Reagan, more experience than Obama running for this seat. Let that sink in. I think the only person who might have been more qualified than her is Hillary Clinton, and that is what it is.
You know, and this goes back to, I think if you've followed me over the years, you've heard me say this before. I had to watch my wife work twice as hard in the military to get half as much, you know, as her white counterparts.
Yeah.
And this is what we're seeing. You know, like people that were like, oh, we're for Biden. And then when she jumps in the race, they're like, oh, we're not going to endorse anybody. It's like, gee, I wonder why.
Yeah. But pay attention right now, Ryan. The southern states are the ones going for him. I want you to think about that. And then I want you to remind yourself, over the last 200 years, the daughters of the Confederacy, the wives and daughters of the Confederacy, linger in our education system, especially in the South.
Yeah.
The reason why they call the Confederate flag heritage, it's our heritage. That is a talking point from the daughters of the wives and daughters of the Confederacy. This organization that still existed today. Was it Cowgirl in the Sand? That's the friendly Tim Pool. Don't worry. He's one of us.
That's our
He's
Tim
a parody account, and we love having him around. He's a lot of fun.
Yep.
Well, them. I don't know who's behind the mic, but them. That's gonna be a spinoff. Behind the mic. I have no idea who's there.
No, that needs to be like the behind the scenes.
Behind the mic. That's what. Yeah. Our offshoot show.
Well, we'll start recording me losing my shit in the green room
Ryan,
right before.
That's gonna be our TikTok show. Behind the mic.
There you go.
There it is. Look at that. The wheels are turning, baby.
I like it. I like it.
Yes. So yeah. But guys, it's all good. Talk shit to each other. Have fun. That's what we're here for.
Yeah, you're not the first one, Cowgirl. Plenty of people have made that.
And you won't be the last. You won't be the last.
Yeah.
I think actually this Tim Pool likes to get off on this. That's why they go by the name. That's it's one of those things.
Yeah.
They like a little bit of abuse in their evenings.
Oh my God, dude. I'm not gonna lie, man. My butt's a little puckered up.
Yeah, but that sounds like a normal Tuesday for you. That sounds like it's either a soccer practice, a HOA meeting, or anything. That's just what you're doing.
Bro. Fucking tell me about it.
It is what it is. Look, man, I'm telling you right now, if Pennsylvania goes blue, all right, Georgia is going to be, it's too close to call, but Georgia could have amazing turnout. And then Michigan, you're talking about some of the heavy hitters that are necessary. I'm not even stressing it. Michigan's only at 5.5% reported. It's too early. It's way too early, you know. But we know that Detroit is a heavy hitter within that state. North Carolina 14% reported, Pennsylvania 9% reported, and Harris has a massive lead over Trump, 70-30, and that's being gracious. It actually is 70-29% calculated right now. to give you an idea of where for Pennsylvania, 440,000 votes versus Trump's 181,000. Okay, so there's movement that's happening, and I want you to really think about that, Ryan. Wisconsin polls just closed 22 minutes ago. So
Look
again,
how
guys,
close Ohio is.
What is it? Give me the numbers.
41% reporting Donald Trump, 50.5% with 1,244,000. Kamala Harris with 48.8% with 1,204,000. So there's about,
And that's a red state, guys.
it's about 48,000 ballots or votes splitting them right now.
That's
not
red state.
much.
That's a red state. Let that sink in.
She got blown out in Indiana.
It's Indiana. The only thing good that came out of there was the Jackson 5.
Blown out in West Virginia.
They can have their clean coal. Next.
Blown out in Kentucky.
I
Blown
want the
out in
bourbon.
Tennessee. Blown
Again,
out in Alabama.
Weren't they with the Confederacy? Like, don't be shocked. And I want you to look at what those states bring wealth-wise of GDP to this country. Think about that stuff.
Damn, these are close.
But what's the percentage of them being Virginia's
40% reporting. Yeah, all the East Coast ones should be closed now.
What I mean by that is the tally. So like Indiana.
Oh, it's close. Yeah.
Are those 100% reported?
No. West Virginia is 35%.
See, exactly. Right.
Kentucky 61%. Indiana's 48. Yeah, but I mean, she's not even close.
Again, if it's not 95%, then I'm not worried about it. Once it hits the 95, then I'm like, okay, then there's no coming back from that, right?
Like I said, it's just insane to me.
So just since talking to you, with Pennsylvania being 11% reported, Kamala went up to 532,000, with Trump being 217. Like there's a massive lead in Pennsylvania.
Who are you talking to?
Pennsylvania.
You said Justin.
No, I said just in. So reporting live.
Well, that tells me where I'm fucking at. Yeah.
So reporting to you at this very moment in time, Pennsylvania is still at 11%. Kamala 70% to 29%. Kamala has 532,000 to Trump's 217. So there's a massive lead, and this is the trouble that he was talking about with fraud, because he's afraid. And it is what it is, you know? But guys, in the chat, what do you guys think? What are you guys seeing?
Yeah.
What are you guys hearing? Let us know. You're our eyes and ears on the ground.
Oh my God.
Help us watch Ryan lose his shit every minute until the middle of the night.
Telling
is
you.
where we're at. It's all good.
Like I said, if the Republican Party was actually delivering for the American people, I would understand it being this close.
Yeah.
But they aren't. They haven't been. Like before the 2022 election, you had one of their guys literally standing on the floor saying, "I don't know what to tell my constituents that we've been doing up here." Like the only thing Republicans are doing is killing border bills so that Donald Trump had something to run on to fearmonger everybody off of.
Can you please say that again? Killing conservative border bills.
Bipartisan bills, yep. That's the kicker. It's like when you come in and you kill a bill that had support on both sides of the aisle, you're not doing what's best for the American people. You're clearly supporting someone's agenda. And we're seeing the culmination and the fruits of their labor right now. So all these people in Indiana are voting for Donald Trump because they want to secure the border. I'm an hour from the fucking border.
Just to give you context, Ryan, I had a conservative friend of mine tell me that, I don't know the struggles. I don't live in a border state. And I go, Canada's a border? I go, what the fuck are you talking about? I was like, New York meets Canada. They're like, that's not what I'm talking about. I go, oh, so what are you trying to say?
Yeah, so it's
is it complexion? What is it? What are we talking about with immigrants? What are we saying here? So it's fun. It's fun.
Yeah, it's always fun when they start, and that's when they start.
Always. You picked the wrong one.
As soon as that starts happening, you're like, yeah, let me put my foot a little harder.
Yeah. Update for Electoral College right now. You're looking at Kamala Harris 71 and Trump at 101, and we're just getting started, guys.
And the popular vote right now sits at Trump with 19,268,876 votes, and Kamala at 16,172,506 votes. That translates to Trump has 53.8%, and Kamala with 45.1%.
You know
of reported votes.
And we've only been recording for now 40 minutes. And the
polls have just been, polls closed at what, 7?
Depending on your area, yes.
Yeah.
But
everything
let's make this very clear. Polls close at 7, but if you're in line when they close, you are still able to vote. So,
yeah. I'm just saying, like from Michigan over, all those polls should be closed, and then the next time zone should be closing here in 15 minutes. Then, so
but everybody that's standing in line to stay in line, even if
that'll be like Minnesota, Wisconsin, Iowa, Montana, Arkansas, Louisiana.
That's right.
So those are all about to close.
Yep. Stay in line. That's where we're at right now. So do your thing. Do your thing. And it's this is a really, I have to say to you, I get very nostalgic for what this country stands for because we have this process that we are built off of, right? This is where we're at, regardless of the Electoral College. And I look forward to talking about ranked choice voting. But regardless of that, there's something about this that makes me very patriotic, where it's like you are literally choosing the direction of your country for the next 4 years. I wish there's a different roadmap because I feel like there's always this infighting every 4 years of what we're going to do. And when I look at adversaries like China that's building a 20-year plan, and you're like, shit, like they're really building a roadmap, and we have to go against that. So let's just use EV for example. They're like, we're doing EV. This is what is going to be our direction with our industry. And America's like, well, our exports are gasoline, right? ICE vehicles, combustion. What is it called? What's the acronym for ICE? For in combustion? Is it just in combustion vehicle? What is that? In combustion engine. In combustion engine is what it is. And you look at that, you're like, okay, so we're going to do gas, we're going to do hybrid, and we're going to do these EVs. So looking at this, it's like, okay, well, so if Trump wins, we might scrap the EV market, right? But if Kamala wins, we might go further down this EV infrastructure. How do we electrify all of America? How do we get everybody on board? If cars can go internal combustion. Thank you, Patrick. Thank you very much. So ICE, internal combustion engine. Do we go further down that path, or do we go EV? What do we do? And so in those kind of conversations, I feel like every 4 years is just not enough time to actually build a roadmap to stick the landing. So it's going to be interesting, which is why I guess if you get this Kamala Harris, you'll have extra 4 years of whatever Biden was doing to then build and perfect what he was doing. Is a better way to put that.
So this is a Cybertruck that I can get behind.
Uh-oh. Is that a bobblehead on the back seat, the back of the truck?
Dude, it's him in a prison suit, sitting.
Good. So
it says molester, thief, liar, traitor on the side, and on the back it says Elon plus felon. So they should have put a heart around it. Like just married with some cans dragging behind it.
Oh, good. Oh man. Yeah, those trucks are not selling like they were.
And why we have a second. Nancy Mace has been saying some ridiculous shit lately, so I just want to publicly embarrass her again.
Are we back to her in her makeout sessions?
I just love her face. She's like, ugh. Yeah.
Oh, good.
She was going off again today. I don't like her. But this happened. yesterday. So
Election.
Joe Rogan came out, and of course, and by the way, I fucking told you.
You had some things to say about that. You
Thank
definitely
you.
had some things to say. I
Thank
give you
you.
that.
So Joe Rogan came out and endorsed Trump, and he's been crying online because he said that he invited Kamala on the show a bunch of times, and she kept saying no. So apparently he was a little butthurt. But this is what him and Elon think about the election.
I'll say it again, man. I think this is the last election. If Trump doesn't win, this is the last election.
I think you're right.
Yeah.
I think you're right. I think people, and a lot of people are waking up and realize that have been lifelong Democrats. Guys like Bill Ackman, guys like Chamath.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, Tulsi Gabbard switched over to the Republicans. Like there's a lot of people who their whole life they've been left wing and they realize like, I can't do this anymore.
You and I used to be Democrats.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Trump was a Democrat forever.
It's nuts, man. If the Dems win this election, they will legalize enough illegals to turn the swing states, and everywhere will be like California.
I love this talking
there will
point.
be no
I
escape.
love this talking point.
That is so insane.
This is the final. This is it. This is the last chance.
Has anybody tried
And
to
I
push
just want to
back?
go out and vote.
Isn't
Vote
he
like
an
your life
illegal?
depends on it. Vote
Yeah.
like your future depends on it.
Yeah,
because
we need to kick this
yes.
motherfucker
I'll
out
say it
like
again, man.
immediately.
I think this is the last election. If Trump doesn't,
I like again. Hate to be the one to say I fucking told you so,
Right.
but I've been telling you about this prick for the last 6 months.
Yeah, no, it's so interesting to see Elon literally spew the bullshit that he also.
Oh no, hang on, I'm not done.
Real quick,
so
big,
again,
my uncle's over here. Big Unc, I see you, and I just want to let you know that we are able to reason and have the human discourse. But we as Americans, we are going to definitely get behind and united with Detroit Lions.
Tones, I haven't seen you in forever. Tones is in Ireland.
Yo, what up, Tone?
Yeah. I just don't want to go to bed. I have work in the morning, but I don't want to miss anything. I know.
Well, hang out with us and
hang out with us as long as you can.
It's like-
Conspiracy theorists at their best. But thank you for coming in, Tones, because we talk a lot about how many people listen to the podcast. How many different countries download the podcast, and seeing that we really primarily talk about politics, social justice issues here in America. It's really been interesting to me to see the analytics of how many people actually, don't just download one episode, but they're clearly downloading all of them because there's 30, 40, 50 downloads.
They're returning.
So they're coming back. So it's like, so clearly there are people in other countries that are vested in the outcome of this election. They're that concerned.
Yeah.
And, and whether they disagree with us or agree with us, it's just nice seeing that people really do care about what's happening, because at the end of the day, whoever's elected president of America absolutely directly affects other countries and their economy.
That's right.
And people see that and they understand that. And it's just like other elections affect us. Why do you think we pay attention to the prime minister of the UK, in those type of elections? Yeah, those matter to us, because these are alliances that we need to keep intact. So with that, I just want to remind everybody that, and this is Elon This is Elon Musk's brother, and this is an interview they were doing. And I just want to ask you if you think this is a gray area.
It was literally like, these people are insane.
They obviously do not realize we're sleeping in the office.
In fact, when they did fund us, they realized that we were illegal immigrants.
Well,
yes, we were.
I'd say it's a gray area.
Yeah, yes, we were. We were illegal immigrants. We were sleeping in the office. We didn't have a car. We had one car, but the wheel kept falling off.
So my question is, why are we letting illegal immigrants purchase our elections?
That's right.
Because he's done exactly what the fuck I said he was going to do a year and a half, 2 years ago when he purchased this platform. He was going to turn it into a right-wing Truth Social 2.0, and that is exactly what he did.
Yeah, you're kind of like The Simpsons, man. You kind of called it out.
It's like I do this. It's like I do this for a living. Yeah, it's like I do this for a living.
You dabble in data. You know what I mean? Like
it's like, but honestly, man, if you just connect the dots, it's not that hard. Like, Elon Musk, and again, this is one of those things I'm sitting here, maybe it's a conspiracy theory, but when you see Elon Musk talking about, oh, we're giving our Starlink or whatever the internet thing he uses is.
Starlink, yeah.
He's like, yeah, we're giving it to Ukraine so that they can fight their war. And I'm thinking to myself, if I'm Ukraine, the last person I want having access to any communications that I'm doing for the war with Russia is Elon fucking Musk.
That's right.
Like, thanks, buddy. I think we'll pass. Like, I'd rather send, fucking pigeons with notes on their claws than let Elon Musk know what my next move's going to be against Russia.
Well, and the thing is, too, is looking at the...
Like, am I alone here in the comments? Like,
no, but looking at the landscape of Elon, if he is to face a Kamala Harris administration, there's a real conversation to be had of his contracts with the government.
Oh, he's worried he's literally worried about being deported.
And also losing his companies because
Well, first off, if you're engaging in domestic terrorism, which he is, you should absolutely lose any government contracts you have on top of any security clearance you may have been given. So that's first and foremost. That should be done day one.
Yeah.
Imagine how much tax dollars we're going to save when we stop subsidizing Elon Musk and his failures.
Billionaires, subsidizing billionaires. These welfare queens.
Imagine.
Okay? Just think about that. When they talk about welfare queens, we're talking about billionaires. I just want you to all know that.
Yeah.
All those PPP loans that they got, and they got to just have it wiped out. What about everybody with student loans?
Although Jen was saying something that the government's actually going after those people now. They want the money back.
Yeah.
I don't know how accurate that is, but Jen was saying she was reading a story about it, so I'd have to Google that, but
it might be right there with reparations. Let's see what happens. It's just a conversation that's just been there forever. Like literally 200 years go by. Those PPP loans, I wasn't there. It wasn't my grandfather. You know what I'm saying? Like,
oh my God.
Let's get the money back. Let's get the money back from Brett Favre. Fuck him. Also, shout out to Angry Bunny. Girl, it is way too early. I'm only one beer in. We are hanging out. Don't freak out. North Carolina, we were just looking at the numbers. North Carolina is 25% reported right now. Kamala 666. Don't like that number, but we'll take that 666.
Yeah, she's down. She's down by over 100,000.
130,000. That's all she's down by. Don't even worry about it. So,
listen. I'm gonna need you to stop saying "don't even worry about it." I'm fucking worried about it.
Ease into this is all I'm saying. All right, ease into it. That's all. Easy squeeze. Easy squeeze. That's all we got to do. That's all we got to do.
When you're saying ease into this, I'm thinking.
We don't even have.
I'm not trying to mount up here, like.
Brother, we mounting up. Oh my God, I gotta send you. After the show, I'm gonna be sending you a video.
I don't even want to know what that just reminded you of.
It's gonna be all disrespect. That's all I'm saying to you. It's all disrespect. Again, behind the mic, it's one of those type of situations. So,
and again, it's just crazy to me that so many people are willing to vote for this dude. Like, he's been an adjudicated rapist by not one jury, but two.
Yeah.
It's kind of like OJ. Do we say that OJ didn't do it just because it was a civil court that found him liable?
It was a very interesting situation with OJ.
It was, but I mean, granted,
and I'm not.
No. I mean, you're not entirely wrong.
You're not entirely wrong. Fresh off of Rodney King, there's a lot that was happening in that time frame that people have to put in context.
Oh yeah. But I just mean in terms of the crime, like.
But just our fans, I eat Halloween candy to maybe deal with my pain, so I'm gonna have some Halloween candy.
I think I'm gonna have to go get some Halloween candy.
That's how I deal with my stress.
The bad thing is I like nerds and they make too much noise.
Well, give me a break. That's where I'm at right now.
I'm going to need a Snickers here in a minute. So let's check on Michigan. 8% reporting.
Questions. You guys want us to talk about anything that you're thinking about? What are some of your anxieties? What are some of your things that you're, some pros, some cons? What are you hearing? Let us know.
Because, what I don't understand is, his rallies haven't been full. They've been empty. So
that cameraman that fact-checked his ass live.
Yeah, he chose unemployment real quick. I loved it.
He said, I see a brighter future in Kamala.
Yep.
He knew.
Like I said, I knew it was going to be close. I just I hoped it wouldn't be. But
you know what I want to see? I want to see Mike Johnson lose his fucking seat. That's what I want to see. I want Hakeem Jeffries to take over as the head of the Senate. That's what I want.
Yeah, I don't think that's happening, unfortunately.
I don't know. Oh,
we'll see.
we're not even halfway through the country. Let's see what happens.
Motherfucker. If you say that one more time, I swear to God, you said it like 50 times.
And I'm going to say
We'll
it
see what
50
happens.
more. 50 more, baby. 50 more.
They sometimes just have a camera. Local radio station did a poll, and so many said they would have voted for Trump. It baffles me how anyone could vote for him. Oh, I know. The way that they can excuse away anything. Like, they want to not vote for Kamala Harris because she didn't, they think she didn't work at a McDonald's when she was 17.
Right.
But again, they're willing to overlook the fact that this dude is a convicted felon, an adjudicated rapist, an accused pedophile, a domestic terrorist that tried to overthrow the government January 6th, an epic business failure who's failed at so many things. Like, again, in 1992 or 1994, when he owned the casino down in Atlantic City, he owed a $3.2 million loan, and he didn't have the money to pay it. So his dad sent a lawyer into the casino, or a couple lawyers, I should say, into the casino to purchase $3.2 million worth of chips. And then they walked out, never to return, never to reclaim the chip or the money with the chips. Therefore,
I love the hustle.
Therefore, it being a loan from his father. And when they got busted for that fraud, guess what happened? They got a $30,000 fine. So a $30,000 fine on a $3.2 million fraud scheme. That seems like America.
You already know.
So, and again, this dude, when running in 2015, said he was going to, repeal Obamacare and come up with a much better health care plan. Just 2 weeks. Just wait 2 weeks. Okay? It's been almost a decade. And he still doesn't have any plans. And all they do is talk shit about Obamacare, but they can't come up with anything better. So, again, I say, how about we keep everything in Obamacare that's working and get rid of the things that aren't and make it better instead of playing this political hot potato that doesn't do anything for the American people.
Right.
So, again, this dude ran on saying that he's such a good businessman, making deals that he was going to balance America's budget in his first 4 years. He didn't balance our budget.
No.
Okay? He's not Bill Clinton. He's not the Democratic Party in 1994. He wasn't able to balance the budget. He almost doubled it.
Right.
And again, $4.8 billion of that was added before COVID even hit. So $8.1 trillion he added to our national debt. So again, he's not a great businessman. He is a failure. And he surrounds himself with losers who will kiss his ass, who will be yes people and do whatever he wants them to do. And you've seen it time and time again. And even the people that leave, they literally will tell you, yeah, we were yes people. Like, if you don't do what Donald Trump wants, you're gone.
Yeah.
So,
and that's why we should all be worried about a J.D. Vance VP role.
Telling you.
But Big Unk over here, you talked about it. Guilty of sin. Evangelical Christians drink the Kool-Aid.
Yeah, well, and it just...
Think about how many of them are around.
Well, it goes back to, going back to this post I did. They're so freaking upset because I said that I'm voting for my daughter. I'm voting to protect my daughter's rights. And they have so many stupid responses. Oh, well, teach your daughter not to be a whore. Teach her how to use a condom, because accidents never happen. Teach her not to get raped. Oh, you're voting for the person who's letting in the illegal aliens. And it's like, so, oh yeah, dude, you should see the comments. They're fucking crazy. And it's like, so, by the way, I'm not worried about illegal immigrants. I live an hour and a half from the border. Yeah. And I'm not worried about illegal immigrants raping my daughter. I'm worried about conservatives, Trump supporters raping my daughter. That's who I'm concerned with. Because you're literally voting for a rapist. So clearly you're okay with it. I do as a parent, I do try to figure out how to justify
voting for that kind of man, and then how do you tell your kids to be like a better person? But then I think about that, like, no, you're probably a trash ass person. Like there's probably something there where you're okay with cutting the line.
Oh yeah.
Stepping on somebody to get ahead. Like, certain mentalities that exist that are there.
Yep.
But it at the same time, it's one of those things where I try to think of like how you're trying to raise your kids right, how I'm trying to raise my kids right. And then think about that where I'm like, I can't look at them and be like, don't act that way or don't talk to your mother that way. But here I am voting for somebody who's like, let me grab you by let me grab you by it. And it's like, no.
My daughter is not doing one night stands with various men with no protection. Maybe tell her use protection and have some morals.
Talking about 11-year-old.
Yep.
Literally.
And a lot of them are men. Brent, Harry. So you failed to teach your daughter self-respect, self-restraint, and self-protection. In other words, you failed as a man.
Yeah. Sounds like some trash human beings.
Yeah. I'll add to your 5 minutes. You have forgotten the face of your fathers. I pray you repent. What kind of father would raise their daughter to think abortion is normal? How about teaching her the 42 different versions of contraception? We are fucked if this is the kind of man raising women. This Liz Wheeler one. Has about 1 million followers. You voted so your daughter can kill your grandchildren. That's weird and gross. Again, another 1 million follower that talked about my 11-year-old being raw dogged.
Suspect.
You obviously failed as a parent. They will send your daughter to war. Abortion is legal in every state. You knew that, right? It's like, why did you guys remove the federal protections? That's what I'm wondering. I'm 41, have a daughter and 4 sons voting Trump. It's like, wow. This is sad.
Weird.
What has happened to men? What happened to our protectors? Congrats. She'll be spiked in the face by all the men in her volleyball team. Like, by the way, am I?
Is that a trans? Is that a trans?
Oh yeah. They've got, like I said, they've got all sorts of shit in here. My husband is a veteran, 24 years of service, and he is voting for the best president that took good care of our armed forces.
Can you please say that not laughing, please?
Sorry, I'm sorry. My husband is a veteran of 24 years of service, and he is voting for the best president that took good care of our armed forces, best economic, best policies. Other than that is the demo-communist rhetoric and propaganda. Vote Republicans.
Oh, God, man. Stop.
Like.
Trash.
And you know what the worst part about this woman is? Nevaeh Crane. She was a freaking pro-lifer.
Oh, God.
She was a fucking Trumpy pro-lifer. And it's like.
They all are. They're pro-life until they're, out of the womb.
Until you die.
And kid, you know what I mean? That's reality.
It's like,
I'm going to force you to have this child. I'm not
you died
program.
because of the policies you support. The policies you support literally killed you.
It's so wild.
Choose what? To kill her baby? Isn't it funny that the people that claim that we don't know what a woman are don't know what a baby is, and they don't know what a woman is? Like, they keep misidentifying Olympic boxers and things like that, and they clearly don't know when a baby is a baby.
Well, they don't understand science. You know what I mean? Like, it's God will take care of it. And I really do sit here. And
here's another one. Imagine saying you stand for women's rights while letting men dominate women's sports and nominating men for Women of the Year.
Yeah.
Like, oh yeah, the Hodge twins, didn't even see this one. Your wife's boyfriend is voting for Trump. It's
are they actually twins or are they lovers? I don't understand yet. I don't know.
That's a dumb reason, since the right to choose is now a state matter. That's the point, you dumb fucks. It shouldn't be a state matter. Like, it's just so hard. You try, like, they get slapped in the face with facts and they still don't get it.
No, please.
All these women that are dying, they're the real murderers.
And this is why I'm interested to see what's really going to happen in Texas. Because that's the real test, Ryan. That's the real test.
Yeah.
They are the ones under a lot of pressure, under a Trump administration, under the Supreme Court ruling, losing Roe v. Wade, and having Ken Paxton as their AG.
Oh.
I am so interested to see how Texas really handles dealing with that type of temperature and environment for their safety, because it really is their safety at this point.
Yeah.
That will be eye-opening for me.
So, real quick, this is what I was talking about. This is a tweet I was telling you about. 347,000 likes. Kamala said she used to listen to Tupac when she was in college. Tupac was 10 years old when she was in college. Laugh my ass off. I said, wrong again, lady. Kamala graduated with her Juris Doctorate in 1989. Tupac was 18 when Kamala graduated. He also started touring around with Digital Underground in 89-90 while releasing Tupacalypse Now in 1991. So don't act like Kamala was that far off with her timeline. Maybe don't talk about hip-hop when you don't know the culture. Punk.
Punk. Punk. I like
Punk
that
ass.
finish. I like that finish. Yes, Angry Bunny, we are all about Mark Robinson being put to the side like the garbage he is.
Yeah, for sure.
So here we go.
Votes being counted in Georgia, North Carolina, Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin, and Arizona. Is she closing the gap in Ohio? It's about the same. Oh, man. Hey, what's up, Chris?
It's all those things, man.
Trump has a big lead in Texas. Yeah, well, that's to be expected. Look at who they vote for. Fucking morons. Ted Cruz and Greg Abbott. Well, let's deregulate everything and then complain and cry when things happen. Oh, why isn't the government helping us more?
I'm actually freaked out by Texas electric grid and how it's been this independent system from the rest of the U.S. where we can share, right, on our grid. That's the infrastructure that's there. So when you have these massive deep freezes that they're not prepared for, mind you, they are screwed. And this is the situation where Ted Cruz catches a flight, leaves his dog at home to go to Cancun, and you're like, how are you not a supervillain? Like, what? Who are you? You know, and I really do wonder about how they allow. And I can never imagine leaving my dog, leaving little Eno here, and be like, we're going to Cancun. See you guys on the other side. It's insane. So I'm really interested to see how his battle pans out. I'm really interested to see how that goes out. So who knows? Who knows?
Yeah. It's. Oh my God. You know what? I thought better of half of this country. I really did. I really thought January 6th would be the nail in the coffin for him, but apparently Trump was 100% accurate when he said that he could literally stand out on Fifth Avenue and shoot somebody in the fucking face.
100%.
And these people would still vote for him.
100%. 100%. But they
got so mad because I said in the comments, I was like, I'm pretty convinced that Trump supporters would let Trump rape their daughter in front of them and then thank him for doing it afterwards.
Yeah. Yeah. And you know what's funny about it is, you have a troll that's here right now who popped in. And it's funny to me, Bob over here. And it's funny to me because it's like, that's going to be the first one where they're talking about it, that things aren't looking good. It's like, guys, we're just getting started. We've been on for 1 hour. This is not being decided tonight. This is going to go into the night. This is going to go into maybe a couple days. The last election, 2020, we didn't find out until what, Saturday? Like, we have time. I'm sorry. All these votes will be counted and recounted. And if so, twice the number counted. It is what it is.
And I'll just remind people when here in Arizona, when they did the whole cyber ninja thing after the 2020 election, and spent 9 months moving ballots around to different states and all sorts of different shit.
In parking lots?
Yeah. And that when that was all said and done, not only did they find less votes for Donald Trump, they actually found more for Biden.
That's right.
So.
That's right. Ready?
Is that number 2?
That's number 2. That's how I feel about tonight.
I think I'm going to have to go use my vape off camera.
But you know what? Thanks for
I'm
count.
like I have like
Thanks
little fidget spinners. Like I'm playing with freaking things from the dry cleaner.
I have to say to you, I just feel like it's because you wouldn't have this man losing his shit the way he has been losing his shit, right? On his social media and everything else. And it's like, yeah, I get it. He's going to get places like Mississippi. Of course he is. I would not even second guess that. They are the poorest state that we have in this country.
And he wants to take away all their subsidies.
That's right. It's a perfect case study of voting against your interests.
I'm telling you, any woman that votes for this guy is a fucking lunatic.
Or she likes to get grabbed by them.
Yeah, clearly she's okay with, rape and removing her federal rights.
Yeah.
Apparently you have to be specific now. Oh, they didn't lose their rights. It's just a state issue now. It's like, yeah, they lost their federal protections.
Oh, yeah.
That's exactly what they did.
The Green Goat wants to know a question for you.
The Green Goat, what's my MOS? My MOS is kiss my ass. That's what it is.
God, I love you.
Go ask the older millennial to post my DD214.
So good. So good.
By the way, my MOS is I am an aircraft engineer, so that translates to I could actually build all the rockets that Elon Musk launches into space, unlike that fucking ignorant prick. He can't build anything, but I can.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like fucking 10 times smarter than Elon Musk. Fucking anybody that listens to that guy speak and thinks that he's intelligent, Jesus Christ. I've got stocks I want to sell you.
Man.
Am I wrong?
No.
Like,
but look at these wins. Delaware, DC. I mean, Kamala's taking people who are literally fundamentally set up.
So he said, so supply. Got you. First off, supply is actually a pretty important job because when you're putting aircraft in the air, you need parts. And if you don't have parts, you can't put aircraft in the air, which means that there's no air defense. There's no air support. So when you got people on the ground kicking in doors and they call and they need help and somebody on the other line has to say, oh, I'm sorry, we don't have any supply people to, get us the shit we need. So, again, it's just these talking points are really stupid. And you think somebody that if they're not on the ground in Afghanistan kicking in doors that they're somehow not a veteran or they don't have to live with shit. Like, do you have any idea what it's like to put fucking bombs and missiles on an aircraft and put it in the air and have it come back with nothing on it, knowing what they did? No, you don't have to sleep with that kind of fucking shit. So, go fuck yourself.
Yeah. But you don't need to waste time with that homeboy. Yeah, Tone's... The numbers are going to be all over the place, but it's, from Al Jazeera to CNN, everybody.
It's okay to say this is not good.
I'm not trying to be too optimistic. I'm just saying that it's early in the night. We've only been on for an hour. Like, this is not being decided tonight is what I'm saying to you. It's not.
We'll see.
No, we could do a 24-hour marathon. It's still not going to be ready. That's the biggest thing. Now, what we can expect is for Trump to declare a win because that's what he did last time.
I'm surprised he has. I'm surprised he hasn't already.
Yeah, I'm expecting to stop the steal. I'm expecting a lot of things for people to come out and say. And he's winning the states that I expected him to win. That's why I feel the way I do. That's the reality.
Look at all these fat white fucks.
Ryan, you're taking a lap on just hating these motherfuckers.
Dude, I do. I fucking hate them. Like, they're voting for a domestic terrorist. Like, what do you want me to say? I swore an oath to this country to protect from all enemies, foreign and domestic. Yeah. You're voting for a fucking domestic terrorist and an adjudicated rapist, an accused pedophile, a 34-time convicted felon facing another 60-plus felonies. Like, what the fuck is wrong with this country? And then you want to preach and talk to the Democratic Party about family values and God?
When you're looking at even in this situation that's happening here, governors, you have right now 2 Democratic, 3 Republican, and a number that are undecided. Senate for tonight, you have 6 Republican, 4 Democrat, 1 Independent. So 23 undecided right now, as in like the races have not been called. The numbers are not crazy at this very moment in time. It's not a blowout. It's not anything like that. It's just this is the game. We gotta wait, and you gotta just stay the course. And it's one of those things where I think there are more better people in this country than there are who are falling for the okey doke, and that's the reality. For the popular vote, she's only down 3 million. That's not that crazy right now. For being, again, we've been on for an hour and 15 minutes, so it's coming. It's inching its way, and as they start calculating
Holy shit,
what's that?
New York. Where's all the people that said that Trump was going to flip New York?
Oh, that's never going to happen. But when
19% reporting, Kamala Harris has 69.5% of the vote at 1.14 million. Donald Trump has 30% of the vote at 499,000.
We don't like him.
I thought that was Trump country.
He's from here. Let that sink in. He is literally born and raised. This is why he went to Florida. It's easier to manipulate in Florida than it is in New York. We know who this motherfucker is. But I tell you right now, 3.2 million is a difference between the popular vote, and we're only an hour in this. That's why I'm talking to you, Ryan, I'm not worried about this right now. That and that good old adult juice is talking to me.
I think that's what's talking.
No. I've been looking at the data up until this point, and I do feel very confident that there's a lot more men that are showing up to do their part and stand with their sisters, their moms, or cousins to do the right thing. And yes, Tones, we are definitely real, and we are calling that motherfucker out.
Tones has been with me for like 4 years.
That's what's up. Tones, I know you special. You've been dealing with this guy.
If only you knew.
It's so good.
So Jill Stein has 180 or 190,000. Chase Oliver has 185,000 votes.
Good for them. I'm glad they're doing things.
Robert Kennedy has 131,000.
Oh, get out. Robert would hate me. I got a flu shot today. Oh, man. I know he would be very upset. Got a flu shot, guys. Got the flu shot.
Yeah. And how is that not quid pro quo, by the way, to promise a guy, place in
drop out and I'll give you a cabinet seat?
Yeah, I'll give you a cabinet seat, and all you got to do is come campaign for me and start a super PAC to start funneling money to me.
Well, we're talking about Nepo babies. This is the whole thing about Nepos, He will never be his father. And let that sink in. He can take that to his grave. He will never be a great man.
No.
I don't care what you do. You will never be your father.
Yeah.
And that must hurt. I'm not even trying to be an asshole. You will never be your father.
But the problem is he could have been. Like, that's a choice.
No. He grew up with all that trauma and everything, and something never clicked, and maybe now the worm took over. Who knows? Maybe Men in Black need to come check his ass out. I don't know.
Like I said, I think the worm died of starvation a long time ago.
I love when you said that. But yeah, man. Pennsylvania, 21% reported. Kamala, 860,000. Trump,
that's what
594. Pennsylvania's a big one.
Because he's pretty fucked if he loses Pennsylvania.
He can't lose it.
They're calling Ohio, though.
Are they calling it?
Well, 57%.
95.
He's up by 300,000. That's the thing. There comes a point in population-wise where it's not possible.
That is true. I want to actually look up how many lawyers are actually in this game. Let's see.
At least he didn't have a passenger in a car driving off a wooden bridge. Ouch. What about Minnesota? Minnesota is only at 1% reporting, but Trump's up by like 2,000 votes.
Is Big Unc? Is he talking about Beetlejuice? What you talking about, Big Unc?
No, he's talking about Kennedy when he drove off a bridge and killed the staffer.
I thought you were talking about Beetlejuice for a second. I said, where are we going with this? Say it one more time. You coming?
Don't worry, Unc. I know what you're talking about.
Let's see. Republicans. I'm looking to see how many lawyers are actually going to be fighting the cases for this year, for this election. Because that's where it's heading. There's already been a couple of elections that have been at case.
Oh,
Virginia is too close to call. Ohio, too early to call.
Ohio. Kamala has Illinois. Yeah, they've got it highlighted.
Iowa.
She's up by almost 500,000 in Illinois with 41%.
You see Iowa, though, especially with that poll that came out?
Damn.
And that's Trump country.
Yeah, she's up by 30,000.
Man, what if the news is just like really fake news? Like just sitting here and Kamala has like 300 and something electoral votes and shit. They're just messing with us to keep us glued because no one wants to see a blowout.
Honestly, dude, as long as Kamala wins, I don't give a shit.
By 1 point or by 100 points, you'll take it.
Win is a win.
Win is a win.
Let me rephrase. As long as it can't be challenged in the fucking Supreme Court.
There it is. There it is. Well, when you get to choose your own refs, I fully stand behind you.
NBC is behind. I can change. Am I on NBC? Yeah, I am. Okay, I can change it to a different station.
And I want you to know too, Ryan, is that she has multiple paths where Trump does not have multiple paths to victory. And that's why I am talking calm, cool, and collected, because you are not calculating the West Coast at all in this equation. And once those numbers start coming in, that's going to be a very different conversation.
Oh, I don't want to watch this because it's going to be skewed for Arizona. Yeah, they're at a Juan Ciscomani thing. Let's try.
You know how I actually been really enjoying lately?
Try CBS.
Is Anthony Scaramucci. He's pulled 180, man. He is
again. There's a lot of people that did what I expected so many to do, which was January.
He did it before all this other shit. Like he did it. He made that shift after the 11 days, right?
Yeah. See, these are all going to be like local. I don't want that.
Oh, no. We do need to know. How's Carrie Lake doing? We do need to know. What's going on?
Yeah, I think I want to watch PBS.
This is the part, fasten your seatbelts. I think we're going to start getting more and more results, including here from Wisconsin, including from those counties that you were just talking about.
You good?
Look at this one that we heard him talk about right here, Ozaukee County. There's Milwaukee, first of all, to give people a sense of place. Here we go. There's Milwaukee. Right next up top there, Ozaukee County. We have not gotten any results from there yet. We will watch it closely. Obviously, they have not been had the polls closed there long. But Waukesha County next door, Look at this important county in Wisconsin. Right now we have Donald Trump tracking with his 2016 results there, outperforming 2020. Kamala Harris is somewhere in between. She's kind of between what Hillary Clinton did and Joe Biden. So we've got to watch this carefully. This is good news, early good news in Waukesha County, just one county for Donald Trump. While we're here, let's do a quick check-in on Pennsylvania, the big one, 25% of the vote in. Harris is still retaining her lead. But as I say, we will just keep watching it carefully.
Well, she sounded very biased about this now, didn't she?
Thank you so much. Always good to get a deeper look at Wisconsin there. Amy, this is the part of the night I think you've been dreading when I bring up Iowa.
And see what it means.
We know at 9 o'clock, obviously polls closed in a number of key states, Arizona, Michigan, and Wisconsin. We are tracking, but we spoke earlier about older women voters in particular, older white women voters. We talked about that poll from over the weekend from a renowned, well-respected pollster in Iowa that sent political Twitter all aflutter. Will we know soon what that really means on the ground?
Well, this is right. This was a big outlier, and I think people were taking it. And what it may show, and this is sort of interesting as we're watching some of these states come in. As I said, the states that are not tied to the big story, which is they're not one of the 7 swing states, behaving a little bit differently than we have seen them in the past. So a state like Florida going even more red, but a state like Virginia or New Hampshire is likely to be a smaller Democratic margin in those states, even though they are pretty blue states. So what we have in Iowa is a state that, if it's going to behave the way, say, some of these other states have done, which is, they're not sort of following, or when they don't have when they're not focused on by the presidential candidates, they behave maybe a little bit differently. But there's nothing that I'm seeing right now, whether it's out of Ohio or whether it's out of Wisconsin or these other states, to suggest that Iowa is suddenly going to pop up and be this one great big outlier, right? That even as everywhere else is sort of tracking with what we assumed it would be in terms of the demographic and how these states have performed in the past, that would be quite remarkable if Iowa did not.
David and Jonathan, we didn't get to talk about it because it came out over the weekend. What's your take?
I was a little. She's a great pollster. I was a little dubious. Everybody has rogue polls. If I could just bring us to Texas, we've got 65% of the vote in, and right now Trump is up by 11 points. If he maintains a double-digit lead, there's no way Ted Cruz loses. And so Texas is always about to turn blue over the course of my lifetime. It looks like we'll still be waiting. So this margin in Texas is kind of impressive.
Back to Iowa and the poll. I don't know if it's an outlier or not. I'm not a pollster. I'll look to you, Amy, to say whether that is the case. But I think it was a bit of a political earthquake and something that, at least among Democrats, was hopeful. Not necessarily that the vice president would win Iowa, but what it portends for the rest of the country, in particular demographics. I mean, for me, it was akin to the abortion vote in Kansas. And the fact that ruby red Kansas voted to protect abortion rights sent a signal to me about how important that issue would be across the country. And so the Iowa poll, the Seltzer poll, to come out and to show the vice president ahead by 3 or 4 made me wonder, what does that mean for the battleground states? More importantly, what does it mean for white women voters? And so with all these results coming in, pictures being filled in.
Picture is being filled in.
And the takeaway of the Seltzer poll was that Kamala Harris had expanded her margins among independent white women and older white women. In order to win this evening, she would have to really historically run up those numbers, one would imagine, right?
Well, so this is where my math skills really are a problem, because they're very low. As many of us, I won't speak for anybody else here, but those of us who got into this profession did so because we did not do particularly well
That's
on
right.
the math.
I was
essay
told
team.
there would be no
That's
math.
right.
We're holding
And
it down
so
here.
we
Hold the
like
mic will
to
be
do
a
the
more prominent
other
show of
part, the
Trump
writing
wins.
piece, not so much the math piece. What is interesting is, and let's see if this plays out, but in state after state, women are making up, they do traditionally make up a bigger percent of the electorate. But so in a state like Pennsylvania, women are making up, say, 54% of the electorate. She's winning women by 9 points, but losing men by 9 points.
Mm-hmm.
But because women make up a bigger percent of the overall electorate, that is a benefit, right? So losing men by 9, if it were 50-50, and that would be a bigger problem. But what is also pretty clear is that it is not that we're not seeing that, she's winning women by 15 points, while there's also an increase in the number of women who turn out, right? So we have more women that are turning out. The margin isn't dramatic, but that ultimately could be the difference. This is why I say the math becomes the problem here, because if at the end of the day, it's not that she wins them by a bigger margin, but they made up a bigger percent of the electorate, that would matter a lot.
Kevin and Fess, how are you looking at that gender gap?
Well, first of all, I have to get my word in on the Iowa poll.
Please.
I mean, look, the Iowa poll had everybody shook because I think, the fact that there were so many
Everybody, you are hilarious.
independents and women breaking towards Harris, I think was a surprise for a lot of people. But I always think back to Mike Murphy, Mike Murphy, who is a grand wizard on the political strategy side, on the Republican side, had taught me. He said, if you really want to, if aliens wanted to invade Earth, one of the first things they should do is buy up all the pollsters, because you sort of set the sort of zeitgeist in one direction just with just one little poll like that. And what I tried to tell everybody after that poll was, like, we have an election on Tuesday. We're going to find out what happened and how and whether or not these campaigns matter. And what you have is billions of dollars pointed by these elections, pointed by these campaigns at engaging these voters and trying to make the case to them on these elections. And I think the thing that we're seeing is that the economy mattered, the issues like abortion matter, issues like immigration matter. And those independent voters are more likely to vote based on their station in their local economy than they are on what some Iowa pollster tells them that which way they should be breaking. So I think it's just more of a reflection that these campaigns actually matter.
Well, you know this about me. I'm interested in class politics. As much as there's gender politics to discuss, class politics is always at the top of my mind. And it pains me to watch,
This
more
is
black working class.
There's a
people,
lot
more
of just
Latino
jargon
working class
coming out of these
people,
people's
at least
lips,
by
just bumping
exits,
gums,
I think
man, and they're not
we will
saying
see
much.
Tonight, moving away from the Democratic
There isn't
Party.
much
It's
to
not-
say.
Not great.
I
We have to
know.
analyze how
Let's
and
find
why
another
that's
channel,
happening. I
'cause
think
this
we
was-
win
this one
without
was a
them,
little-
but I think it's better that we win with them.
I just sat here
And
listening to
one of the
some of it. It's
reasons
just
is
like, it sounds like a
because
lot of
the
bullshit.
Democratic Party has long been believed and understood to be the protectors of government, the executors of government, believers in government. And to believe in government right now, there's a lot
you know
of
what? Let's check out Fox.
dissatisfaction
Let's
with
see,
it, feeling
please.
the government is
Let's
corrupt
check
and
out
broken
Fox.
and not delivering in a
I love
in
hate
a
watching. I love
disruptive
hate
way
watching.
for
Let's see it.
people
Let's
to
go
get
get
behind. We talk about freedom.
Come on,
we have
come on,
to talk
equal
about,
opportunists.
Abortion freedom, abortion
like
rights
you
freedom, but there's
sometimes.
economic freedom at play very much on people's
be-
minds.
Oh, wait, no.
Do I have the
Wait.
liberty as a middle class person to make it in this economy?
They
And
have young
the
Sheldon on
Democratic
right now.
message on it has been
do it.
cautious. It has been status quo under, and I think we got to
If things
continue
get really
to
bad, we
push
could watch
that envelope. We got
Detroit Lions take on the
Biden
Titans.
led by
Enjoy
10
that.
points in this state with a suburban voter. This is a smaller margin that she's leading by over Donald Trump with that. This is obviously about a 6-point margin. Now, if I break this down by gender and community type, and we look at the suburban female vote, this is a really interesting story. This is almost identical to what we saw back in 2020, just 4 years ago. These are some of the trends that we're seeing. We're going to have a lot more data as we dig into some of these
You
key
mean
battlegrounds.
removing women's rights
throughout the
didn't go
night.
over
Shannon,
well
John,
with
back to
suburban
you.
women?
All right, Taylor, we love it.
That's
So
really,
interesting.
Really fascinating stuff.
Really
The
fascinating.
granularity of the data is really quite amazing.
In the meantime, in the Maryland Senate race, we've got a call. The Fox News decision desk can now project that
There it
Democratic
is.
County Executive Angela Alson-Brooks will defeat former Republican Governor Larry Hogan.
Fuck yeah.
And that was one that Republicans really hoped they might have a chance at. But it was a long shot.
You take a look at the margin there. He had no chance whatsoever. All right, majority balance of power.
Right now, a majority is 51. Republicans projected to have 47 seats, the Democrats 38. There were 34 seats up for re-election this year. Typically it's 33, but then there's always one year where it's 34 to fill out the 100 seats. It looks like the Republicans are going to do very well tonight when it comes to the Senate. They were projected going into tonight to come out with a 51-49 majority. Now the question is, do they go beyond that, and just how bad might it get for the Democrats?
We'll see. There's still so many of these Senate races to call. We have called Ohio for President Trump's column, top of the ticket.
So a Democrat just beat a
but let's bring back
Republican,
our
and they're
panel to
talking
talk
about how
the
bad it's
rest
going
of
to get
what
for
we're
us?
waiting on.
That's right. Okay.
What do you think, Guy, that says about the chances for Republicans? They knew it was, possible within striking distance for Bernie Moreno to pick up that seat there in Ohio.
Oh, Klobuchar
based on the numbers we've seen at the top
it's
of the
less
ticket
than
so far?
1%, but...
You'd have to like Moreno's chances at this point, but, Sherrod Brown's a fighter with a base of support in that state, so we'll see. It looks like the top of the ticket in some of these blue wall states
They're saying
are
Trump won
tracking
Ohio?
almost identically with the Senate races. So if Trump, for example, is able to pull off some of these wins in
Ohio
even
only
a
has
few of those
60%.
states, you've got a race in Pennsylvania. You've got a race in Wisconsin. You've got a race in Michigan.
Right.
So
Yeah, but he's
you
up by
start talking about
400,000.
expanding a Senate map, potentially for Republicans. They felt pretty good about 51. They're feeling really good about maybe 52, but you start possibly thinking potentially a little bit higher. Maybe. One other point I want to make based on the voter analysis we just heard there from Sandra Smith. She was talking about the suburban women in Pennsylvania and how that margin is basically spot on to what it was 4 years ago for Biden, which on the surface is pretty good news for Kamala Harris. But if she is underperforming with other constituencies, for example, men of color, Latinos and black men, you have to make that up somewhere. And if she's not making that up with suburban women, that could potentially be a problem for her. We'll see.
Yeah, you wonder if Donald Trump's campaign was saying that he's doing better with women than she is doing with men. And if she's holding the same with women and he's upping men, I mean, you take a look at the Joe Rogan podcast, Mary Catherine Ham, and Trump sat with him for 3 hours, reaching millions and millions of guys in this country. And then Joe Rogan comes out at the 11th hour and endorses him.
Right.
You wonder, might
like a
he
complete
do better
fucking
among
coward.
men than Kamala Harris is doing among women and make up the difference in the gender gap?
I think it's certainly a possibility that made a difference. Both teams are going for unconventional constituencies here, right? He's trying to get low propensity
So right
young
here where it
male
says
voters
too early
using
for Cali,
podcasts,
Michigan.
which they did a
I'm
great
sorry,
job. They
called
hit Theo
Michigan,
Von, they
Wisconsin,
hit
Pennsylvania,
Joe Rogan.
Arizona,
These
North
things
Carolina,
reach
Georgia.
Those
Those are
voters.
some
They
of the
also had a Twitch
main
streaming channel,
points
things like this.
for Kamala.
Harris is trying to reach soft Republican centrist women in the suburbs. Now, Democrats get a lot of women in the suburbs, but the Republicans are a slightly different demographic for them. So this is a reach for both of them, but it looks like Trump is having more success than perhaps Harris is having reaching those women.
Well, I think you should be cautious, though, because, again, it could be, as we've seen in Florida, for example, that you see Republicans overperform in terms of those metrics in Florida, and then that gets reflected generally. You say, oh, they're doing better. But really, we're talking about swing states and what happens in those swing states specifically. And before we move on, I just wanted to say, I noticed that Angela Alsobrooks was picked as a winner for the Senate seat in Maryland. And I think that right now, given what we're seeing in Delaware, that you're going to get Lisa Blunt Rochester, another black woman, potentially elected to the Senate, which would be, again, I think Democrats at this point in the evening are thinking, what is going on, right? But there are some signs of life and reason for hope for the Democrats.
Absolutely.
Right.
So we had this conversation earlier that we were talking about. It might have been during one of the commercials.
So the polls are now
about
closed in
and
41
whether,
states.
whether that is actually going to be a thing, or whether
DC,
the Trump
'cause it's
fans
not a
overplayed that so much that they pushed away too many women. Whether they were ceding that territory or not. It was something I asked Senator Vance about, and he said, oh, no, we're not ceding that territory. We're still running on these issues of the economy and border and things that we think matter to female voters.
The fact she's a
and to
woman
voters
and
regardless
black
of gender.
Well, and those
definitely
younger male
doesn't help
voters
her.
don't vote at a high percentage, right? They're not high propensity voters. At one point, going back to my home state of Ohio, which we were talking about, a lot of the vote is still out in Franklin, Cuyahoga, Hamilton, and Montgomery County. That's Columbus, Cleveland, Cincinnati, and
Elizabeth
Dayton.
Warren
those
won.
Are cities. Those are Sherrod Brown strongholds.
Also, Brooks won in
a lot
Maryland.
Of the vote's still out there. I think
for
if I was
Senate.
a betting woman, probably, this is maybe Bernie Moreno's night,
Who's
but
that?
a lot of vote out for
Kuzawanis?
Sherrod Brown. Look, I think the bro vote could be real.
Ooh,
and
Josh
Donald
Hawley's
Trump,
losing.
Losing? Oh, wow.
All these, the wrestlers doing the MMA, going to these events, really tapping into this cultural moment.
I saw Margie Taylor
to try
Greene
and appear
won.
strong, especially
Did
when,
she?
again,
Against Flowers?
running against
Damn.
a woman. And a couple months ago, he thought he was running against Joe Biden. So I think the Trump campaign did.
I don't think it was
a
with
lot of
Flowers
things
he was
wrong,
running.
but one
No, it
thing
wasn't
they
Flowers.
did, strategically well
Flowers was her match.
was go for that bro vote. One more point, adding to Juan's point. I want to
Marsha
give a shout out,
Blackburn
Andy
won.
Kim, first Korean American senator from New Jersey, took on the New Jersey Democratic political establishment. The Bob Menendez, the Phil Murphy, changed the primary there and is going to be the first Korean American senator in the country.
Go ahead, Kim, took over
Some
Bob
bright spots
Menendez.
tonight for
All right.
Democrats
And how-
already, even though there's a lot to go.
Little comeback story for Kelly Ayotte, right? She was a
Right.
U.S.
True. That's
senator.
true.
She lost
Okay,
by
Arizona, let's see what you do.
hundreds,
Yeah, right.
hundreds of votes,
Yeah.
and now she's going to be governor of that state.
Colorado
real
was a
quick question
blowout.
to you, Guy, here on Georgia. We got 4,112,000 votes in so far. Trump is leading 52 to 46. There's probably maybe 1.4, 1.5 million votes left out there to count. I mean, Georgia is looking pretty good for Trump. 77% of the vote is in.
I agree that it's looking pretty good for Trump. I'll leave it at that. I'm not in charge of making any calls, but I think if I were a betting man, picking up on what Marie was saying, I would probably put a good amount of money on Donald Trump in Georgia right now.
All right. Well, much more to come. Our election night coverage continues. We're counting down to the next round of poll closings, about 20 minutes.
Meantime, take a live look at
man, we
Detroit.
can go somewhere
where
else.
the vote counting
Thank you for
continues.
that
We are
conservative,
still waiting for a
circle
call
jerk.
in Michigan and several other critical states where the race is
CNN have, or
razor
who
thin.
else you got
So
on
it's
your
gonna be a while,
docket?
but keep it here because we've got all the news for you.
Or ABC. Who's being sued? CBS? By Trump?
This is the most important timeout I've ever called.
Things are getting out of control out there, and we need to regroup.
Hate.
Where are all the news channels?
Not on these fields.
All right, so we can officially say Florida is very Republican.
And we need to stop it.
So let's
Yep.
take this
Georgia
to
is.
change the momentum. And call it
I'll bet my
timeout.
brother voted for Trump.
Together.
Oh. Dare we ask?
No, because I might not talk to him again.
How would you live your life differently?
77% reported for Georgia. She has.
But she's ahead of
47%.
him. She's also ahead of him in Rockdale as well.
Okay.
Let me just show
Trump
you
has
this.
52%
Here we
of
go,
Georgia.
Rockdale.
We're looking
How
at.
that behaves. 73 is the margin there, and you can see 69.
Michigan,
back in
14%.
2020. So there's still a lot of vote to come in.
Kamala has
but
52,
statewide,
Trump
she's still
46%.
trailing 52 to 47. So they'll be watching
Minnesota's
Democrats
just starting to get
very
started.
closely this area around Atlanta. Let's quickly look at North Carolina. 62% of the vote now. This is the biggest county weight. Raleigh area, 76% of the vote counted. Again, she's quite
Nice.
close to where Joe Biden was.
Is this North Carolina?
It's a similar race
Yeah.
here in North
Angry
Carolina.
Bunny, you should be
so
happy.
Keep an eye on where it's going.
Yeah, the whole state.
All right, Christian,
though.
thank you so much. Really interesting information. We were in North Carolina there just with Christian. So let's go to the state. Helena Humphrey is there for us. Helena, tell us what the latest is that you're seeing there at your watch party.
Well, it's certainly a festive environment that you can perhaps see behind me. I'm here at the Charlotte Mecklenburg
It's a nice coat she's
Republican
got on.
Women's Party at a country club. People seem to be having a good time here. When I speak to people, they feel the sense
It's like
is
a
it's just a
pinstripe.
case of waiting, being patient now. They believe the campaign has done everything that they possibly
Sorry, just trying to focus on
can. So there's
something
been a
besides
really
the
high
damn
level
number.
of voter engagement in this state when it comes to
North
early
Carolina is not
voting.
that drastic.
Over 57%.
My
That
state
a
is gonna
record
make me
here
mad.
in the United States. But in terms of some of the key results that we are watching, of course, important to stress right now, of course, too close to call right now and too early as well to say anything hard and fast when it comes to North Carolina. But we always have these areas that we're watching really carefully, as Christian was just mentioning there. And one of them for me is Nash County, because in the past 3 election cycles, it has always voted in the same way that it's gone in the presidential race. 88% of votes
Look at what Tone
counted
said.
there. And what we can see is
Ireland
at
has
the
had
moment,
2
and I
female
stress,
presidents.
not a
Time
definitive result,
for
but at
y'all
the
to join
moment,
us. Come on,
Donald Trump
Kamala.
leading there. Now, if we think
go.
back to 2020, we saw Joe Biden there with a strong margin, about 100,000 votes there. So we'll have to see whether Kamala Harris starts to make up some ground. But of course, one of the other big looming questions in this election is the race for the governor, the gubernatorial race here. here. We now know the Democrat Josh Steen taking that race over the Lieutenant General Mark Robinson, the Republican candidate, echoing a previous result, of course, that we saw with Roy Cooper, Democratic governor as well. And this just shows you that kind of back and forth, why North Carolina is purple with that Democratic governor. The Democrats trying to make inroads. And I've been speaking to some of my sources about this, including a Democratic county chair, Mike McLamb, saying, what do you make of that result? And he says that it's giving him cause to continue to be hopeful tonight for the Harris campaign, and also saying this shows that North Carolina wants what he says is a serious person in charge of the state. So we will have to continue to see whether that is reflected overall in the result. But as we know, Josh Steen has been given a speech, and he was saying that he believes that his victory is reflective, in his words, of women wanting control of their bodies. But of course, it is a toss-up here. I've been speaking to Republican women here about that as well, and they say for them other issues are important as well. Inflation, crime, immigration, and so on, just showing how diverse, polarized this country, this state continues to be.
Helena, indeed, thank you so much. We're just looking at those numbers on our screen right now of North Carolina as well.
It's definitely the...
Now, immigration and the southern border, they have been some of the biggest issues of this campaign.
Yeah,
Donald Trump says that if
too.
he wins, he'll carry out what he's calling the largest deportation operation in American history. He's repeatedly called the U.S. an occupied country, and he's also promised to close the border on day one of his presidency.
While in office, Mr. Trump faced some criticism for some of his immigration policies, like separating migrant children from their parents and authorizing several travel bans. Mr. Trump also vowed to build a wall along the roughly 2,000-mile U.S.-Mexico border as president, but only roughly 85 miles of entirely new sections of wall were put up during his term in office.
Now, Kamala Harris calls immigration a serious challenge, and she says she will work to remove those who arrive in the U.S. unlawfully. She says she'll prosecute the cartels and give Border Patrol more support. Ms. Harris also said she wants to work with Congress on immigration reform, including an earned path to citizenship for hard-working immigrants. Now, we can talk about this a little bit more. Now we can go to Texas to speak
You're gonna
to
have to wait for
Monica Dela Cruz.
You're going to have to wait for Ian to come back to take you off the ledge, because I'm on the ledge with you.
Just talking about immigration there, obviously, you know all about that in Texas.
Let's jump off this motherfucker to Wanda!
How big an issue do you think this really has been right across the country?
How is it, Cherry said, how is it even possible he has this much
South
support?
Texas, on the border of Texas and Mexico, in Hidalgo County, where over 90% of our population is Hispanic. And I will tell you, it is one of the top 2 issues in our community. Hispanics are sick of the open borders by the Biden and Harris administration. They're sick and tired of women who are being exploited by the cartel due to the open borders by the Biden-Harris administration.
Biden's
and
a little, or
they want
Trump's
to
a
know
little
where
rapist.
the lost children are from the Biden-Harris administration. It's unacceptable. And
What about the lost
think
kids from the Trump
come
administration?
Today, by the end of the
They still haven't
night,
found all those kids.
they will re-elect President Donald J. Trump.
And talk to us a little bit
See,
about
like,
why
people like that, like,
you feel
I
that
think
it
they're
is
seriously
motivating
insane.
voters there. I mean, we've heard about the pressure that immigration, particularly in border communities,
Well, I just
puts
don't
on the
understand what that
people
weird-ass
working
creepy
there. We
smile
saw the
is at
Border
the end.
Patrol Union, for example, endorse Donald Trump.
Hispanics believe in law and order. They want immigration, but they want people to come.
Everybody believes in law and order.
What has
Except
happened under
not if you're
the
voting for
Biden
Trump.
Their candidate is not law and order.
Is chaos at our southern border.
Yeah, we're going to vote for a felon, but we believe in
on
law
our
and order.
Communities,
Okay.
not only our hospitals, but our law enforcement as well. And I
don't know if
believe
Wolf
this
over here is a
Hispanics
troll or what.
are
Are we guys? Are we in
towards
panic mode yet?
President
I don't
Trump's
know. I
border
don't think he's
policy.
a.
They want safety.
I think he's a
they want
friendly.
security. They want to live in a nation.
He's
Show me
just,
a white flag.
he's more like me. His anxiety is high.
Show me a
under
motherfucking white
President
flag.
Donald J.
No,
Trump.
it's no.
Now, Congresswoman, Democrats would say
good,
that
man.
actually it is former President Donald Trump who put an end to a bipartisan immigration bill that came through Congress a few months ago.
Isn't it sad we got to go to BBC for like
lays at his
a
feet.
legit
Democrats continue to
narrative,
gaslight
except for
Americans.
this?
They know
Except for
well
that
that
they
in
found
the
the one
House,
motherfucker.
But I mean, they're
passed
challenging her
the
though. They're asking her
Secure the
questions, and
Border
she's.
Act,
Wolf, I
HR 2,
apologize.
over a year and a half
2 beers
ago.
in,
It
I'm
is the
having fun.
strongest piece of border legislation ever passed by the
I'm the
House.
comedic relief
The
for tonight.
Senate is the one who
Oh,
has
man.
failed to pass anything on their side. So in the House, we are working hard.
Yeah,
We want to
thank you
secure
for
a
saying that.
border, and
I think
believe
it's
under
worth
President
noting that Donald Trump
we
and
will
the Republican
accomplish this.
Party had
So,
both
Congresswoman, let's
chambers
talk a
of
bit about the
Congress
policies we've heard
when he
from,
was in office for
President
2
Trump,
years,
former
and
President
they were
Trump.
unable
He's
to
talked
get
about
this
this
done.
mass
So what makes you think they're going to
deportation
get this done
plan.
now?
How do you carry out such a plan, which could involve deporting, 10 million people from this country?
Look, I think we first can agree that we need to get rid of all of the criminals who have raped and murdered young women all across this
So
country.
Donald Trump.
That is where we need to start this deportation.
Do you know how
is
many women you
criminals,
all have
get
killed?
them out of our country
'Cause they
and
couldn't get an
that's where we need
abortion?
to begin, and I stand
That
by
should be
Donald
criminal.
Trump when
Weird
we
talking
deport criminals who are terrorizing our American cities.
Okay, Congresswoman Dela Cruz speaking to us from Texas.
Those are
Bear,
nice.
thanks for joining us on
Yeah,
BBC
those are
News.
nice talking points. But
And we can speak to Democrat Congressman Joaquin Castro, also from the state of Texas. He's joining us now. Congressman, great to see you again. You're at Harris campaign headquarters. I'll ask you about immigration in a moment, but tell us what things are like there right now.
Well, everybody is excited, obviously very jubilant. People work so hard to get here. Kamala Harris worked so hard, and Tim Walz, and so it's an exciting night. She's ahead in some key states like Pennsylvania and Wisconsin and a few others, and so everybody's very hopeful.
Okay, I just want to get your response to some of the things we heard from Congresswoman De La Cruz there, who
Me
was
too,
talking
Bunny.
about
Me
what
too.
she said was the Biden-Harris
I think that's why I'll
administration's
never be
failed
successful.
border policy. I mean, in your state of Texas and across the border states, do you think that this is going to be one of the main driving issues for voters?
Well, I think the issue of
Hear Jay-Z in the background.
and immigration are always among the thorniest issues
Get
in
it.
American politics, and they have been for a long time. But if you look at what Donald Trump did when he was president, he purposely separated
seriously
very
though,
young
Ryan,
kids,
what if
young boys
Trump
and
got
girls
the
from
popular
their mothers
vote
and their fathers,
and Kamala
he's
got
also
electoral
promised a
college?
campaign of mass
How
deportation.
upset
There are 2 times in
would the
American
maggots,
history
I
where
mean
that has
MAGA
happened
be?
and had a significant
Oh, they'd lose their
impact
minds.
on Latinos and specifically Mexican Americans in Texas. And
And it would be really hard not to just be looking and be like, how's it feel?
American citizens, not undocumented
I'd just be like,
immigrants, a million
rules are
American
rules.
citizens
I don't know what to
who were
say.
deported. And so that's what Donald Trump is promising. And I assure you,
Electoral
that
college
there will
got to
be
go.
If that happens, if Donald Trump is
Tones,
somehow able to
absolute
win
pleasure. Good to see you again.
there will
Get some
be
rest.
people in the Rio Grande
Love you,
Valley,
Tones.
relatives of theirs
Looking forward to a democracy tomorrow. Let's see what
Congressman, just
happens.
one question on that, though, because the point that the Congresswoman from Texas as well was making there is that it is under the Biden-Harris administration that we've seen record crossings.
So Brian
across
said
the
Jill
southern
Stein's
border, and that
electoral
people don't trust this
votes,
administration or
Green
Kamala
Party
Harris
is
on this issue.
261,088
No, I think
votes.
what you've seen is the numbers
That's
actually go down
0.4%.
very dramatically. And
Ranked
Bunny,
choice voting.
also during his
Ranked
time as vice
choice
president,
voting.
We're going to have an upcoming episode
Sarah.
about that
because it's not just
with
people don't
Sarah
show up at
Higginbotham.
the border,
Yeah.
because they're going to
So,
Disneyland.
yeah,
There
we're
are
definitely
causes of
going to talk
poverty,
about that after this.
drug gangs that are terrorizing
This is
people
some
in those
bullshit.
countries. And so she has pledged to make sure that we work on the root causes so that people won't have to feel like they have to flee their homeland.
Well, we should say those
Trump
crossings have
won
gone down
Kentucky.
in recent
Shocker.
months because Joe Biden signed an executive order in June, and the Republicans would say, why did he not take action before then? Why did Kamala Harris not take action before then, and have accused him of electioneering?
Well, no, and as you know, he absolutely tried, and Donald Trump spiked
There goes the monetization.
bill that was worked on in the Senate. And they want to
Happening.
do that because Republicans use this as their #1 boogeyman issue. They use this issue to scare Americans, to rile people up, to create resentment and fear for politics.
Okay, well, we'll leave you to boogie woogie woogie.
Just make me
on
think of
down
Quincy.
there. Congressman
Yo,
is getting very
I was
noisy up
actually
the
gonna say that to
party
you.
behind Thank you very much for joining us. here
Genius
on
album.
BBC News. Now we can go across to
How is
our
Harris looking?
colleague Mariana Spring at BBC Verify.
Not as good as I'd hope.
Some more news for us.
Thank you.
Well, Randy, black don't crack, so she's looking just fine.
Made by Donald Trump,
she's fine.
Truth Social. He was talking about how there had been
But how's she doing in the polls?
in his view,
well,
in
we're waiting for
Philadelphia.
all the
He's now
other
repeated that claim
states
in
to get in the
other
game.
Locations. Again, as was the case before, without the evidence to support that right now.
Right now,
And
Trump
there's
is
been quite a
taking
lot
all
of
the red
discussion, not
states
just today,
as
actually,
expected.
but over the past few days about where some of the allegations of voter fraud are coming from, because they're certainly not just coming from Truth Social or from Donald Trump. They've come from all over the place. X in particular, which we used to call Twitter, has become a little bit of a hub, a focal point for these kinds of allegations. There's been some concern about foreign interference, about some accounts that
hear that, Elon?
Russia that have promoted videos that are fake
The
or
cesspool
false,
we know as
making
X.
allegations of voter fraud. But actually, a lot of examples of allegations of voter fraud without evidence to back them up that I've investigated have come from accounts that are based here in the US, people who've spoken to me, who've explained what they're doing, and who've actually been able to make some money from this. They tell me about how they've been able to earn thousands of dollars on X, in some cases, they say, from sharing this kinds of content. I reached out to X about all of these things and questions about whether they are incentivizing users to post in this way, and they didn't get back to me. Another interesting thing to talk about this evening has actually been in the CBS exit poll. There was quite a lot of concern from some of the voters who were surveyed about the state of democracy. It was cited as one of the big issues that they cared about when they were voting. There was some reaction that suggested
so mute
that
them real
they
quick and
favour
let's just
Kamala
talk about a
Harris,
couple of
but
these
actually,
states that he's taking real
a lot of
quick.
Donald Trump supporters online, and I spend a lot of time investigating what.
So going down the top of the line, Alabama, Trump. We'll just start with Trump. Alabama, Trump. Arkansas, Trump. Florida, Trump. Georgia is leaning a little bit more towards Trump with 80% calculated. So we'll see what happens there. Indiana is Trump. That's 70%, 71% calculated, and that's a 59% to Kamala's 39%. Kansas is leaning more Trump right now. We'll see what happens there at the tally. Kentucky, 64% right now with 91% calculated. So Kentucky is definitely probably his. Louisiana is leaning definitely more Trump with the 67 to Kamala's 32. But that's only 43% calculated in. Let's see. You have Mississippi, 62%. So that's leaning more Trump. Missouri, leaning towards Trump at 54 or 53%. And then you're going towards North Dakota, Ohio, and Oklahoma. Followed by South Carolina, South Dakota, Tennessee, and maybe Texas, which is still, there's about an 11-point lead. He's 55%, and Kamala is 44%, and only 65 is calculated at this moment. Virginia, he has 50% to Kamala's 48, and only 61% is calculated. West Virginia, 70 to Kamala's 28, with 75% of that calculated, so that's definitely leaning more towards Trump. Wisconsin, 49-49, even split, with 34% calculated. And Wyoming, 30 to Kamala's 69%, with only 2% calculated. So that's not even really getting started. For Kamala, you're looking at Colorado, 55 to Trump's 42. 45% of that is calculated in. So we still have a ways to go. Connecticut, 56 to Trump's 43, but that's only 14% calculated. Delaware, 57 to Trump's 42. 86 calculated, so that's definitely Delaware's leaning towards Kamala. For DC, you're looking at 92% to Trump's 8, and that's only 11% calculated. So we have a ways to go, but clearly a great start. For Illinois, 55 to Trump's 43, 59% calculated. So we have a little bit of ways. Iowa, that 50 to 48, 28% calculated. So let's see how that one plays out. And that's the one that had the poll that shocked everybody in the system. Maryland, 61 to 36, 60% calculated in Kamala's favor. Massachusetts, 62 to 35, 21% calculated. Michigan, 51 to 47, 16% calculated. We have a ways to go there, guys. For New Hampshire, 53 to 46, 48% calculated. Jersey, 52, 46, 69% calculated. New York, 62, 38, 52%. Probably going to be safe in the bag. Unless you're Long Island, that's a different conversation. But New York is definitely being ran by what we see here. by the 5 boroughs. Rhode Island, 53 to 44 in Kamala's favor with 80% right now calculated. And then Vermont, 65 to 32 with 78% calculated. And we haven't seen California yet or any of these other states come in, which those are closing down soon. I have to say, Ryan, I do enjoy hearing your stress eating. How you feeling?
Is it that bad? I'm sorry.
No, don't apologize. Don't apologize, man. I just want to ask you how you're feeling.
Nervous.
A little bit. Guys, write in the comments. Let us know how you're feeling as well. Chime in. Like, subscribe if you're brand new to the channel. No, you're good. I want you to be here, man. I want everybody to be present. The main part of the race is going to be kicking in when we start seeing the California numbers come in and everything else. Yes, Kamala is behind right now, as expected. Everybody who's voting the day of, those, as you know, those votes are calculated immediately, and then they start going through the count of all the absentee, mail-in, and anybody who's early voting. So all that stuff is coming in. Some of these places are calculating; they have to start counting the day of. So they are just starting to get the tally. Look, this. I've said it to you numerous times, Ryan. We're not going to know tonight, so I don't see the point in stressing right now. It's one of those things where it will come into play, and it may even get stretched out to Saturday. But, I would love for this to be wrapped up by Thursday because I got shit to do, and I want to be able to do it weekend. So that's kind of how I feel. Let's go, democracy. And Ryan, that's going to be a number one question. What are we going to do for the show on Friday if this shit is not figured out?
More stress eating.
They're gonna see that strong jawline put to work. That's what that is.
Oh man,
that's what's happening. So yeah, so we're looking at the numbers. They're coming in, guys. But this is to be expected. To see Alabama go towards Trump, don't be shocked. Like let's not play that game. What's interesting is to see what's happening in Pennsylvania, which is definitely one of the paths that Kamala has to victory. And if she does take that, then we're looking pretty solid. Georgia is not looking good right now at this moment in time. But that is something that we will have to find out because it's very close still within a margin, but we'll find out. Wisconsin, Trump is taking a little bit of lead.
79% reporting in Georgia, and she's down by 240,000.
Well, I think this motherfucker found his 11,000 something votes that he was looking for.
Again, way to go, Georgia. Like, you didn't listen to your Secretary of State. You didn't listen to any of them people.
Well, we'll see what's being calculated. I'm not ruling anybody out until it's closed.
Like I said, the fact that it looks like this is just insane to me. It's absolutely insane to me.
It is a little bit of a shocker to see the extent of how much want to rule for, meaning lean towards a Trump presidency. But when you're looking at the differential between the two.
Shanita's in here. What's up, Shanita?
Who is Shanita? Who let her in here?
Right?
God damn.
Haley Stevens of Oakland County won. Nice.
Look at her. She got the celebration going on. Shanita is that's big sister right there, everybody. So you guys all know. So maybe haze her a little bit. She doesn't come here all the time. So show her the hold the mic welcome.
No, be nice. Be nice.
But big sis is always dope. Her and I talk a lot about Gary Peters and everybody, but she's holding down Detroit. She's holding down Michigan for us. So big sis is it's good to see you. What up, Doe?
Well, let's see. What's Michigan?
How nervous is Ida right now? I know you're with her.
Oh, is Ida there too?
Ida and Shead were hanging out. They were talking about how we're doing the show. They go, "Oh, good. We can stress out and watch you." I go,
"Yeah."
Okay.
You can listen to Ryan stress eat.
just every nut. That's all it was.
These are the chili pistachios I was telling you about. And so they have them in shelled and not shelled. I know we're going really weird right now.
No, not at all.
But they have the shelled and the unshelled, and the unshelled ones, they're like because they aren't in the shell, there's so much chili powder on them.
Extra crunchy.
Well, no, there's just so much chili powder on them that it's like it's almost too much. And with the shells, it's like just a little bit of the chili powder gets inside around the actual pistachio.
Yeah.
So it's like it tastes better. And then also, it's really easy to grab a whole handful of pistachios when they don't have the shell on them. But when you have to break open every single one, you tend to eat them slower.
You eat them slower because you have to open up.
No, I really don't. I've figured out how to open them fuckers pretty quick.
You're like, I ate the fucking shell. I ate the fucking shell.
I've had a couple. I threw in my mouth that I thought had fallen out of the shell, and then you bite down. And you're like, oh nope, that's the shell.
Like there goes the tooth.
Yep.
Big Sis says, I'm not either, so she's not stressing out. But she said, Ida is stressing. That's too funny.
She is also stress eating candy. See, so that's in the family.
Oh yeah. Oh no, the Halloween candy is a big thing. Come on now, we learned from our mother.
Yeah, the third party voters are really frustrating because it's like you're voting for somebody that stands zero chance.
Right.
And it's like, well, I'm voting my conscience. Like, nah, you're voting to let a rapist fucking in. Because the problem with conservatives and Republicans is they literally are a cult. So they'll all vote for him no matter what. But the Democrats all want to play, moral fucking high ground or whatever it is they convince themselves they're doing when they vote for somebody besides the two-party system.
That's right.
It's just, again, I lose so much faith in my fellow Americans. If I knew they were all such pieces of shit, I never would have given up 4 years of my life to the military and destroyed my body.
Which I do have to say, I really appreciate your service, but it is one of those things where I appreciate your voice more. Because you're doing so much more for America now. In the context of being a civilian and being here and on the ground,
I feel like I do more now.
On a local level.
Even on a national level.
Let me not diminish your worth.
No, I mean, it's just, I just mean, like, you're right. Like, the way I look at it, I feel better about the work I do now than I ever did.
Well, do you feel like you see the results sooner, faster?
No.
Directly?
No, because Jen and I were just talking about this. She was actually, giving me a little bit of a pat on the back because I've stayed the course for 4 years doing this, and there's been a lot of big bumps in the road along the way. So it hasn't been fast. And the nice thing of, when you're an aircraft mechanic or an engineer, you're looking at the blueprints, you're putting things together, you're fixing things on aircrafts, and then you're watching them, you literally fix a plane and you get to watch it go take off. And it's like that thing is going in the air because of what I did, and on top of it, that whether you're working on a fighter jet, which, has 1 or 2 people in it, or you're working on a C-5, which can have, 81 plus people in it, that what you do, people's lives depend on it.
Right.
And this, it doesn't have that same, life and death type of situation tied to it every day.
Right.
But the emails I get from the people that are like, especially the last couple of days, I've been getting a lot of messages. So for any of you I may not have responded to yet, I've seen your messages saying thank you for, keeping us sane the last few years and especially the last few months. And, that makes doing all this worth it for me. And, the thing that I enjoy most is when I get the private messages from people who are going through their own mental health journey and they have found some comfort or some direction in my story or, something I've posted. And, to find out that I've been able to affect people's lives the same way that, Jennifer Lewis and a few other people were able to affect mine and make me realize, maybe I need to go talk to somebody. Mm-hmm. Maybe I do need some help, because that sounds really familiar what they were just saying. And those are the most rewarding things for me. That just makes all the trolls, all the bullshit, it just makes it all worth it. Because it's like, if you can reach one person and help them find a better quality of life, that's better. That's better than any airplane I've ever put in the air.
Well, we have amazing fans here, and I can only imagine what you see on a daily with all the social media posts that you are on. Like, I only have a taste of what you're doing, right? And I've been lucky to see the fruits of that labor, of what we put together for this time.
Yeah.
And when I think about the fact of like, I hate to go there, but to talk about like Germany in 1930, 38, the fact that Germans voted in Hitler, it actually was the last election my grandmother, my Oma, was a part of. She told me she never trusted another politician. And a quick story for you is that with talking with my Oma growing up, she told me that, that she voted for Hitler and that she was she would never vote for another politician again. And I asked her back when you and I were in Detroit about Kwame Kilpatrick. And she said, I don't trust him. And this is when he was at the hype of that incline of going to all the places and being with the people. And I said, well, I love that he's meeting people in the clubs. I love that do you remember that his campaigns were in the club? She goes, I don't trust him. She goes, anybody who puts themselves in that kind of position where they will win over the people that way. She goes, I've seen that before. And it didn't click for me then.
What you were saying, yeah.
What you were saying in the context of like seeing through the bullshit.
Yeah.
And it's always sat with me, like free, like, rent free. And I thought about that with what Trump offered. Oh,
Ted Cruz won?
Fucking won.
Jesus Christ.
I fucking hate Ted Cruz. I cannot believe that he did. Wow.
You know what this proves? White Americans fucking prefer rapists and domestic terrorists over black people.
Their ignorance speak a lot louder. I don't know about the whole rapist thing, but their ignorance does speak a lot louder.
They're voting for a rapist, so I'll say it. Y'all are voting for a fucking rapist. Y'all are fear-mongering off of immigrants and shit. I'm worried about you people.
Yeah.
Like, I've got court documents. Dude's accused of raping a 13-year-old girl.
Cruz?
No, Trump.
Oh. Yeah.
But again, Cruz, we got him on tape after January 6th talking about, oh, this was horrible. This was a horrible day in American history. Here we are.
He's a coward.
They're all fucking cowards.
He's a coward. He's an absolute coward. I really like that young man that was going against him. I was hoping for that. Really was hoping for that. What is Brian saying? Brian, come on now. A little more respect for yourself. You scoundrel. You scoundrel.
That's so funny.
It's so good.
He's getting Hispanic support. So call them that as well.
Well,
dude, here's the thing. When I call you people out or these people out, like, it's not, I'm directing it at all Trump supporters. I don't give a fuck who you are. If you're a woman, Hispanic, black, white, fucking gay, trans, I don't give a fuck. You're literally voting for a rapist, a felon, an accused pedophile, a massive failure in so many metrics. And most of you are doing it because you don't want to see a woman, and you sure as fuck don't want to see a black woman as president.
Well, this comment right here about getting Hispanic support. There is a thing about trying to fit in to be white, and I can speak very clearly to that because it's my own story. Growing up in Michigan and being in the suburbs, there's a part where you want to fit in, even though you have to understand where you balance yourself on that. Because I was never white enough to be white, I was never black enough to be black, and that's a kind of a path you have to travel being mixed. And you question that in a moment until you start doing your own kind of soul searching of where you want to belong and how you want to be seen and how you want to handle yourself. And it's one of those situations where it really toughens you up in America because you understand that how did I word this? I worded this to my wife. I said, Jews are not white. and she never understood when I was saying that to her. I go, Jews are not white, and the reason why I say that is because the moment that shit went and hit the fan, people completely turned on the Jews this past year in the context of what we saw on all the college campuses. I go, if you were white, you would have been in the circle and protected. You're not protected, and you never will be. There's a element why there was a Black and Jew movement in America and why they created the NCAA CP together. Like there's a reason why there's something so deep rooted in American history, and that's something that we all have to kind of better understand in general. But with this, when you look at the Hispanic vote, a number of those who are Mexican who made it here and who set up shop and who became citizens, they don't want anybody to get the easy ticket in here because of what they may have had to endure to get that green card / citizenship. So there's a lot that happens and stumbles upon. But yeah, these numbers are a little concerning. But I'm not. I constantly keep going back to it. And Ryan might hate me come next Friday or this Friday coming up, where he's like, all right, you still sitting there being optimistic? It's like, well, it's an early night. Deep breath, man. It's everything for me. It's everything. So we'll see. We'll see where this goes, 18 uncalled races right now. Dems are 6 for a Senate seat. Republicans are 9 and 1 independent. But I always wonder why is independent always kind of lumped in with Democrat? Why is it not an independent that's leaning more right? Do you ever think about that?
I don't know.
Because Bernie Sanders is independent, but he leans all left. So it's like, how does that really kind of play out?
I think it depends on the independent.
How many?
There was one in Michigan that flipped. What's up?
Oh, no, I was going to say to you, Joe Manchin, when he went independent, or your girl in Arizona. What is her name? Cinema. Where's she at?
Retiring, hopefully.
Oof, God. Oof.
No,
so,
she's out. Carrie Lake and Ruben Gallego are up for that seat.
They're fighting for that seat.
Yeah. Yeah, she literally retired.
Oh, she's with the lobby now, isn't she? What is she doing?
Oh, I'm sure she's lobbying.
Making that money.
She's all about that money.
So this will be really interesting to see how America views its first possible woman. Excuse me. Shirley Chisholm, Hillary Clinton, and now Kamala Harris.
Thank you.
How this whole thing kind of plays out. Stay positive. Thank you, Jen. Boy, that was a voice of God. Did you hear that?
Mm-hmm.
Oof. Said it with your chest. That was deep down. Stay positive.
Mm-hmm.
And it's true. This thing is not over.
She doesn't want to see me pinging. It's self-preservation at this point.
Yeah, but I really do. Ryan, I want you to think about
Iowa got called? Fuck.
What is Iowa?
Jesus Christ. Well, they're only at 29% right now, though. He's only up by 25,000 votes. Who's calling Iowa? They're saying 38% on here.
Yeah.
With Donald Trump. Yeah, about a 30,000 vote lead.
30% though, calculated?
Almost 40.
That's not. All right. Again, the things that I'm not really... Let me start seeing all the West Coast come in. Texas is a little disappointing. I really wanted that one. I would love to see Texas go purple in our lifetime.
If it didn't happen after an insurrection, it sure as fuck ain't gonna happen in our lifetime.
Tragically.
Again, Ian, let me know when I start being wrong.
Some of it. So Pennsylvania right now, leaning a little bit more red. 100,000 votes. 130,000 votes. Trump lead right now with 52% reported. So let's see where this goes. Keep in mind that Kamala Harris has multiple avenues that are quickly closing. New York was a blowout. Angry Bunny. So New York is
it's looking like PA flipped.
There's 130,000 right now votes that are leaning towards Trump. But that's all the rural areas that are coming in, and the Amish. Don't sleep on that. 63% for New York. Calculated, it's a 59% to 41 Kamala Harris lead. So, see if that pops up. Kamala has 3,220,540. Trump 2,182,935. 59.4 to 40.4%. And Gillibrand took it with ease for her seat. Let's see. Arizona's looking tight, but right now 48% reported. Okay. That's Arizona. Let me see. I'm hearing a cat. What up to Big Sis Ida? She's what?
207, and we're able to make a
What's up, Ida?
Characterization in Virginia. 13 electoral votes. They're too early to call that race in Virginia. We move to Nebraska right now. That race also too early to call. Less than half of the vote in, so still a ways to go there. We move to Minnesota. And Donald Trump and Kamala Harris right now, that's too early to call. Trump out to an early lead. In Pennsylvania, this is one of the big battleground states, could be the biggest. 19 electoral votes, too close to call, the characterization. Wisconsin, another battleground. Here's where it looks right now. Too close to call, a difference of fewer than 8,400 votes there right now, and 47% in, so more to count there as well.
Brings us over to Tom Yamas, who's looking at Wisconsin.
Isn't Tim Walz from Minnesota?
So a quick reminder, when you think about Wisconsin, think of 20,000. That was the vote difference in both 2016 and 2020. That's what decided the vote. Trump won in 2016.
Oh, my buddy Bob Carp's winning.
Right now, 47% of the votes in. We want to dive a little deeper and look at some of these counties. We're going to start with the biggest one, Milwaukee. Again, we're still waiting for a lot of the vote in Milwaukee. We're expecting this a little later in the night. 51% is in. Let's see how Harris is doing compared to Biden 4 years ago. She's down about 3 points, 3 or 4 points, 2 points actually, we should say. But we're still waiting on the vote there. Let's go over to Madison. This is Dane County. This is where the University of Wisconsin is. This is one of the fastest growing
My
areas
district stayed blue at the state level.
75% for Biden in 2020. She's 2 points down, but again, 75% of the vote is still out. Let's talk about the Republicans now. We talk about the WOW counties. These are the counties around Milwaukee. The first one, Waukesha here. Trump's at 59.6. 77% of the vote is in. He's slightly underperforming by a percentage point or two. Let's go over here to the O and WOW, Ozaki, 55. He's at 54. So, you know, a slight change, but almost around the same margins. And then Washington doing much better. 50% of the vote is in, 49. He was at 68 in 2020. He's now up to 70. The other part where they do well in the other part of the state, in Green Bay, it's called the BOW. So, yes, it's the BOW counties and the WOW. Bow wow. I know that's pretty funny, but maybe it's not that funny. Anyways, Brown is Green Bay.
It'll pass.
It'll pass. Trump is 52%. He's up big time here, but again, only 33% of the vote is in, and there are a lot of Democratic votes in Green Bay as well. We're going to come down here to the O and BOW, Outagamie, 54-57. Again, he's overperforming there, and then finally in Winnebago, 36%. I want to show 2 more counties you guys may have heard of, you may not have. Racine, these are suburbs of Milwaukee, getting closer to Chicago. These were counties that Trump flipped from Obama, and then he held them 4 years later. 15% in, Trump was at 51.68. That's a strong number for him. We go to Kenosha, which has been in the headlines, especially after the George Floyd protests. 50% in 2020, 73% in. He's overperforming there. So if you're looking at Wisconsin right now, I mean, the Republicans have some sort of positivity here that they're looking at. Sauk County is one of these counties that we watch that usually picks the winner of Wisconsin. Sauk is one, and Dorr is the other one. You've probably heard of Dorr if you've been following the political headlines lately.
I got to take a break. I'll be right back.
Our data out of Dorr is a little skewed right now, so we're going to wait till the numbers get corrected there for right now. But Sauk County we can look at. 48% is in. Biden won this in 2020. Trump won it in 2016. 47-50. You can see Trump's overperforming there. But again, still a lot of the vote is out. We're going to have to wait and see and what happens. And in case you're wondering, Sauk County, home of the International Clown Hall of Fame. So if you ever want to go down there and you're near Madison,
oh shit, and take my sister there.
We're getting to the witching hour. We got the fact alert. Wow, fun fact alert from Tom. Welcome to the fun fact. Yes, exactly. Let's go to Stephanie. Gosh, she's in Philadelphia and Pennsylvania. A lot of hopes riding on Pennsylvania for the Harris campaign. What do you know?
Yeah, there certainly are, Savannah. You know, we are here in Philadelphia at the tabulation center. This is where they're going through all those mail-in ballots. And, you know, we've been noticing in recent weeks and months kind of a lessons learned category from 4 years ago. And this place is a perfect example of some of those lessons that have been learned. You may remember in 2020, the tabulation of the mail-in ballots in Philadelphia took place in downtown Philadelphia, and it was basically chaos. Now they're in this entirely new building. It is secured by a fence with barbed wire, and they are doing tabulation inside here. We're actually not allowed inside, but it's going on as we speak right now. And one of the unknowns back in 2020 at the end of the night was, well, just how many mail-in ballots are there out there? We don't know. Well, tonight, right before midnight, we're going to get a briefing here from the city commissioner, from Seth Bluestein. He's going to tell us how many of those mail-in ballots from Philadelphia have been processed and how many they have yet to process, to give an idea of how much more time it is going to take. All of that, more transparency, this more security, so things go much more smoothly. Savannah?
All right. Thank you, Stephanie.
Back with our panel and guests, former Missouri Democratic Senator.
Guys, that's a big thing I want you guys all to keep in mind is that they're not calculating those yet. They have not released those numbers. All that stuff will be coming out, as they said, midnight. That's in 2 hours from now.
I just got to say, with the exception of brave Ann Seltzer and her poll in Iowa, where clearly she did not get it right, it looks like the pollsters got it right in this election because I'm looking at these blue walls. If you look at Berks County, Harris is underperforming. You look at Lancaster County, she's overperforming. It's going to be razor close. I don't think there's any question. Now, what we're going to have to figure out is, do we have a country where an election can be close and people can accept the results? That's the question that I'm beginning to worry about, that if these are all really close and they go the way of Donald Trump, I don't think there'll be any problem.
Well, Mark, we live in a 50-50 world. I mean, we do. I mean,
we really do.
And it's not going to stop after, Wednesday or beyond.
No, and one of the things I'll tell you I'm looking at right now is Philadelphia itself, because while Kamala Harris has her margin, the numbers aren't there. She's about 2 points behind right now of where Joe Biden was, but there was a 471,000 vote difference to offset the rural areas. Right now, with 50% of the vote in, the last time I looked, she's on pace for maybe 390,000, maybe 400 or so thousand. That's if the current margins hold, and that's a projection. She needs to be above.
Seth, we're going to try to go as long as we can for tonight. We're going to see how it goes.
Because right now it's about 190,000 vote difference with 50% in.
It's early, but I mean, it seems like what we're gleaning from exit polls and other data is that the Trump campaign is overperforming, doing very well with Hispanic voters and young men. That Joe Rogan army appears to be real in a lot of these places. Is that what you're seeing, Mark?
No, absolutely. I think they're very excited by that, and they also see that they're overperforming in rural areas. I think they're trying to cut their losses in the urban areas and in some of the suburbs. It's not always working, but I think in some of these key battleground states, it's panning out right now.
Claire, what are you hearing from the Democratic side?
Well, first of all, I think there's a lot of people on the Democratic side that are paying a lot of attention to what's happening with Sherrod Brown and Jon Tester right now.
How about that? Yeah.
Because the fact that it's been called for Trump in Montana and it hasn't been called for the Senate race gives you an indication. Same thing in Ohio. And I think everybody needs to remember what Lester just said is true. It's a 50-50 country. Let's assume for purposes of this conversation that, in fact, they take the Senate. And let's assume for purposes that Trump wins the presidency. They're not going to have more than 51 votes in the Senate, maybe 52. And you have a couple of Republicans that are not all on board with some of the Trump stuff, like Susan Collins and Lisa Murkowski. You could actually have a situation where the Senate is frozen in either administration. Depending on how it goes. So now's a time that I think that regardless of how this turns out, I think the leader of this country needs to realize it's time to quit dividing and try to unite and figure out if we can't find ways to work together.
We have a divided Senate. I mean, already the status quo is, essentially tied with Democrats having control with the tie-breaking vote of Vice President Harris. We haven't even talked about the House, possibly because it will be weeks before we know. But Democrats are hoping to take back control of the House. They only need to net out 4 seats, so those races will go. But once again, I mean, you just look at a country, to Lester's point, that is very divided, and this is what the pollsters were showing. And right now, so far, that is what the results are bearing out.
And I will say, we're sitting here, it's 10:30 Eastern time. This is kind of a little bit of a strange moment. We have some data in, but not all. We have a lot of exit poll data in, but not a ton of vote count yet. We still have a ways to go. We haven't called a single key battleground state yet. So this is an interesting moment in the evening, and I think it bears having this conversation, because when you look at the
very crucial information, guys.
Campaigns, the vice president did something very specific. She looked to once she got into the race not too long ago, she looked to cast Donald Trump as a danger to democracy, but she also looked to make the positive case for herself and why she should get another 4 years. Her campaign spent so much time in places like Wisconsin. Think about that Ripon visit, the birthplace of the Republican Party, bringing out Liz Cheney, former Congresswoman on the Republican side.
Calculating it, maybe by midnight we'll know more about the mail-in
trying to reach out to this tiny slice of people who aren't quite totally in their tribal corners. Former President Trump looked to supercharge his base.
But it's so interesting because you say it's a tiny number, and it is, but these were Haley voters, a lot of them. I mean, Kamala Harris went around with Liz Cheney. They went to these color counties.
All these, yes.
And in Arizona, we saw, Jimmy McCain and some of these big names, former Republicans, Jeff Flake, who are out there. She was trying to find those moms, those suburban women who just had enough with Donald Trump.
Let me just pause the conversation very quickly because we have a call now, I believe, in Nebraska. Okay, this is NBC News projects that 3 of the 5 electoral votes will go to Donald Trump. 3 of 5, you ask? That takes me to Tom. I'll let you explain it.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. Again, so Nebraska, remember, they give out their electoral votes for the popular vote, whoever wins the state. They also give them by congressional district. From what you just reported there, projecting one of the congressional districts, it's going to be District 3. It's going to go to Trump. There are 2 other congressional districts, 1 and 2, that we're still watching. Nebraska District 2, this is the big one that we've been watching. It's the swing district. The other one, Nebraska 1, usually goes red. We're still waiting on some vote there. It hasn't been called yet. But again, Nebraska 2 is the big one, because if it came down to that 269 scenario, we would come here to Omaha. Nebraska District 2 is Omaha, which is Douglas County. It's also a neighboring conservative county, Saunders, and a little bit of Sarpy as well. I think we just can't call it. The difference is 22,000 votes. That's what the difference was in 2020 when Biden won the state. So Democrats are in good shape right now. It's unclear how much of the vote is out. Let me see if I can come back and see if we can get how much of the remaining vote is out in this state. We can't check it just yet. As soon as we have a call on Nebraska 2, we'll bring it to you. It's 1 electoral vote, but in a razor-tight election, each electoral vote is important, guys.
All right, let's take a look at the battlegrounds. It's 10:35 in the east, 7:35 in the west, and we've got all battlegrounds closed right now and votes being counted. And too close to call is something you're going to hear me say a lot over these next few moments. That's the story in Pennsylvania, about 58% of the vote in there. In Michigan, also too close to call, the battleground state where both candidates spent a ton of time, alongside Wisconsin as well. Too close to call at this hour, still counting about half the vote in there. Let's go down south, the Sun Belt path. Georgia, too close to call. Biden won it by a hair in 2020. Donald Trump trying to get it back tonight. Too close to call. In North Carolina, we're still calling it too early to call. So we're waiting for more vote there, even though 84% of the vote is in. In Arizona, too early to call, too. We just had the polls close there about 90 minutes ago. They got to wait a little bit.
That's
before
a
they
tight
can
race,
start
Arizona.
votes
Ryan, that's your
there.
backyard,
Same
man.
thing in Nevada. It'll be a while there. And in fact, if you mail your vote in Nevada, I think you can mail it. It could be land there as late as Friday, actually, and still be counted. Those are the rules in that state. So here's the road to 270, and it's being filled out along the familiar lines that we've all become so familiar with over these last couple of presidential cycles, with those big question marks. Tom, let's go to Pennsylvania,
So
because
Trump
I think
is winning most of
we've
the
often
red
said
states that
this
we
will be the ball game, and
anticipated
we're
he'd be
starting to
winning.
get more vote, and maybe we can
Not
look at
big
some
news.
of those bellwethers, like in Erie County, for example, or Lackawanna County. What are you seeing?
Yeah, we're also seeing some outliers as well, Savannah. I want to show you what I'm talking about. Center County, it's in the center of the state. This is red right now. 68% of the vote is in. Biden won this in 2020. Hillary Clinton won this in 2016. Why am I highlighting this county? Let me move the map over again. Center County. This is Penn State. This is Happy Valley. This is a university county. The Democrats should be on top right now. Again, there's 68% of the vote in. They could still catch up, but Trump is on top right now. I want to go back to Eastern PA again, which has changed because a lot of people from New York and New Jersey have moved to the eastern portion of the state. We're talking about Northampton. This is one of those bellwethers, Savannah, you were talking about. It almost always picks the winner going back to like the Kennedy years, I think.
Dorian,
Trump
yes,
won in
they're trying to give
2016,
us
Biden won in
anxiety. Trying to keep it to a
Right now,
tight
Trump's
race.
on
No one
top.
wants a blowout.
73%
Christian,
of the vote is in, so there's still vote out.
my
Those
thoughts on the
things could
BS
change. Again, it's
Georgia
still early.
lawsuit.
We're not calling these counties as well. I want to zoom in here. This is Berks County. I'm going to zoom in.
we're going to see a lot of lawsuits
Reading,
in this
PA.
election.
This is a
Get
city
ready for
where
them.
Hispanics are the majority here. 92%
Good,
of
bad,
the
and
vote is
ugly.
in. Trump is up at 56. It's not a huge surprise, but what it shows is that he's overperforming. He won this county in 2016 and 2020, and tonight he's overperforming. Again, some of that vote is still out, but we're watching that. Finally, I want to look at Scranton right here, okay? Lackawanna County. Republicans thought they maybe had a chance in Scranton at least to peel away some of the votes there. Again, this is where Joe Biden was from. People wondered if he got the friends and family discount there with voters. She's underperforming tonight, 51% right now. Biden was at 53. In a state where it could be determined by 40,000 votes, 80,000 votes, every little bit matters. If they're looking at the map right now and you're a Republican, you're probably feeling a little bit better. But again, I just want to say it's still so early in the night, and there's still a lot of vote out. Philadelphia County, just because this was brought up on the set earlier, 62% of the vote is in. Biden was at 81. She's at 77. A lot of the vote is still out. But again, she wants to be in the same high watermarks where Biden is, guys.
Yeah, Mark Lauder was just here. You know, you staffed Vice President Pence, and you're obviously a longtime Republican operative. You think there's not enough vote for her to make up that margin?
Well, there's still a lot out there. I'm just saying, all of these things start to add up. It's like death by 1,000 cuts. And so if you drop 40,000 votes in this state, maybe 6,000 or county, this 6,000 in another, next thing you know, you run out of options. I'll leave it to the brilliant minds in the decision desk to figure it out when that happens. I'm not nearly that good at math, but it's starting to look a little more encouraging. And when you see the Latino vote come in, when you see some of the closing of the gap with the young voters, it's starting to add up.
Well, let me just jump in on that, because there are several places, and we're starting to now at this point in the night get some trends across battlegrounds when it comes to exit polling, with all the necessary caveats that you have heard by now. And there's a few places where former President Trump is making improvements from his performance 4 years ago. It is Latino voters, as you talk about, Mark. It is voters under 30, as you talk about. It is independents. Doesn't mean he's winning them, but he's doing better than he was 4 years ago. Here's where her improvement is, and this is interesting. It's with seniors. It's with voters over the age of 65. And we're starting to see that trend for her.
You pointed to me when you said
no,
seniors.
oh my gosh, Savannah.
And I just want to let everyone know that we noticed.
It deflected off your shoulder and hit me squarely.
We talked about it in the commercial break like 2 hours ago, so it was more of a callback to something that I forgot we didn't say on the air because we're chit-chatting constantly. But the seniors piece of it is interesting, because think about who actually gets out and votes, right? Who is more likely to get out there and vote? it is seniors. So there's some fascinating dynamics at play, and as we're all talking about, 10:40, we're only on our first cup of coffee.
I think one of the dynamics at play as we watch these results come in that's so fascinating, you think about how close, what a tough slog Pennsylvania is as we watch this come in, and you think about that decision that she made to have Walz as her running mate, as opposed to Governor Josh Shapiro. So as we watch this come in, and even on the day that she made that announcement, a lot of people questioned, what would Pennsylvania look like with Shapiro on the ticket? And
Governor
you have
Shapiro,
to think folks are thinking
well,
about
I mean,
that.
if she loses Pennsylvania, you can guarantee that story is already being written. I mean, Senator McCaskill, Josh Shapiro has, even in pretty red counties, is a very popular governor.
He is, but so is Tim Walz in the Midwest. And I think what her decision was, one of judgment, where she looked at somebody who had a resume just like hers, and she looked at someone who was much different. He wasn't Ivy League. He wasn't all smooth. He was relatable and a coach and somebody who really kind of oozed Midwestern relatability. And I think she thought was an add plus as opposed to just a mirror of who she was. And, I don't know if it was the right call or not. I think they're both terrific people. Either way, they're going to be around. Shapiro's not going anywhere. You may see him on a ballot in the future.
Yeah,
You'll see Shapiro. Him and Kamala had a conversation. He didn't want to be on this ticket, and she didn't need him on this ticket. They're two lawyers.
Obviously, we're disappointed about North Carolina and Georgia because there was a real feeling that there was such a good ground game compared to what the Trump
And to be
team
clear,
was
we
doing.
haven't called those.
No, we haven't. But I'm looking internally at the numbers, and they're not as hopeful as I would like them to be.
Yeah, I'm with you.
I still think we have a path, obviously, in the blue wall
This is,
states, and I don't think anybody knows how Nevada is going to turn out. And
This
I
is
think
a
that's
big,
another one.
Maybe a
We
nail
could
biter.
have 4 states.
Christian, for Georgia, the Republicans are trying to throw out these ballots, right, that are absentee because of being delivered on a weekend. I mean, this is where the ground game is going to be at with lawyers, to answer your question.
Georgia,
Ryan,
how are things
the
going
biggest thing is that they said, I think when you stepped away, was that at midnight,
So we're starting to get
maybe you were
initial
here,
numbers from the
Pennsylvania,
early voting
you get
in
some
this
more
county.
information with
Initially,
the mail-in
they were a
ballots.
little delayed in uploading some of those to the public because they said they were having difficulties with their software.
Like I said, dude, it shouldn't be this close.
Line by line with a
But we knew this was going to be the case.
watcher, a Democrat watcher, and other
I didn't know it was going to be like
getting
this.
those votes
I really
up.
didn't.
But
I
they
thought
have
January
been reported
6th would.
Based on the percent of early votes that are out, Harris is leading in the early
Just
votes.
half
that
the
they have
country
tabulated in this county
would
so far,
overthrow the
but still they
government
haven't counted any of the
if they
precincts
didn't
that
get their
reported
way.
today. That process still
Half the
happening
country is
here. So
okay
you see
with
these
a
people coming in.
rapist.
They're all people who have come from the different precincts in this county.
That
There are
doesn't stick. It
And
doesn't
most
stick.
importantly, they're voting somebody in who's a felon to give them access to everything and have the most power in our country, when he literally wouldn't even get a call back on a McDonald's application
Right.
because he would have to check that he's a felon.
coming in now. It's coming in waves. The
I mean,
first
you're
wave
trying to
of
be
stuff was brought
logical
from
in a
precinct
situation that's
captains
not
one,
logical.
That's
were
the problem.
memory cards with the vote.
And that's the part you have to
something
throw
that
away.
election workers tell me is a
You know?
way,
Yeah.
a thing that's changed
And
over the
I'm
years.
not
They
I'm
said
not
they used
going
to give
against your thought
everything, the
process,
election
but at the
materials
same
that
time,
had to
two
be
things.
returned, provisional ballots and the memory cards with the votes all
Still
at
too
once.
soon.
And because it took a while to clean
You know,
up,
we
it
don't
would
even
take a
have
little
Cali
longer for those
numbers. We don't
memory
have the West
cards
Coast
to come
in
Now
yet.
they get the memory cards
That
first,
stuff is just
then
starting to
the rest
clock
of
in.
the materials.
It's
The memory
now
cards,
7:30,
they're actually in all these
7:44.
little bags.
The
You
West
see them
Coast,
zipping
right?
there. Those are from
So
156
15
different
minutes,
precincts.
West Coast
Each
starts
precinct
closing
has
down.
At least 2 memory
From
cards
there,
that have the vote
we started to
count
figure out
from
what those
today
polls
on
look
them.
like.
They go in here, they get processed, and they
Which
go
have their
out
own
to the
senators
public.
and
So they're so deep in that
and
process
House
right
seats.
now. But let's go again to the back, because this is where we see a lot of activity.
And then you got to keep in
happening on and
consideration
off,
that
whether it's
we
the
won't know
early
until
votes
midnight
being
on the East Coast
processed
of
and
what
scanned
Pennsylvania
and
is starting
tabulated,
to look
or
like. And not even to say
mail-in
that
ballots
that's
being opened and
tabulated. Those
sorted,
numbers are
or
actually
provisional
solid.
ballots
We're saying
being
where
reviewed.
we
So remember,
stand,
the thing that we were watching
how
in this
much is
county
there
was what would the
versus how much
margins
we
be like,
need to
because
get
it leans Democrat. We
done
expected
throughout
Democrats
tonight.
to carry this county.
What's that?
But ultimately, back in 2020, Donald Trump got 40% of the vote in Gwinnett County.
So, hang on. I have to. So, somebody was asking about Jasmine Crockett's race. So, I just happened to go to my Twitter page. Says, let the MAGA tears flow. About 7 minutes after the polls closed, the race was called for me. I'm heading back to D.C. Jasmine Crockett had 86.1% of the vote, with 139,000, and her opponent had 22,000 votes, 13.9%.
Damn. You, sir, are not going to DC.
No.
Yeah. Go ahead, Miss Crockett. You deserve your spot.
Yeah, she's earned it.
Yeah, you are definitely America's little princess. I appreciate you very much.
See, now that's what I expected it to be like. I expected it to be like that.
You know, I think superstars, yes. And she is a superstar, and she's definitely something to look at for further down the ticket. But right now, you have to understand that there is a cult that you're going against. I'm sorry. There's no other way around it. They have drank the Kool-Aid, and this is the path that they're going to go down. But you're talking about red states staying red. Like, I don't know why you would be shocked. I guess my expectation is exactly what it was. So therefore, I'm not wavered by this either way. I'm waiting to see how does Pennsylvania do? How does Michigan do? Those are the ones I'm really concerned about. And those numbers are too soon to call. And again, you may not get those numbers tonight. You may not get those numbers tomorrow. But we will see those within, into the weekend. And then you gotta wait for the tabulation of everything that's on the West Coast. So once all that wave starts coming in here, we'll have a better understanding. And this is the weird unknown right now. But we have to really, I think Democrats need to really reconsider their views of anybody who's Latin American. Plain and simple. Clearly. Don't put them in a box of, well, you're Latin, so this is what you do. No, you're American, and how do you choose to vote? They're not a monolith, and we, leaning more left, need to understand the monolith. Doesn't it really exist?
But I think I don't like the way you're doing it, because I think we're forgetting that we're not talking about policies. We're talking about cult shit. Like you said, this isn't about policy differences. Like, these people are voting for a rapist, a felon, an accused pedophile. Like, these are fucking facts.
Ryan. They don't care.
I know that's the problem. Half the country doesn't fucking care. And they're willing to vote for people that would literally rape and kill their fucking children. Like, this isn't a joke. Women are fucking dying. They're dying in Georgia. They're dying in fucking Texas. And they're not dying because of Democrat fucking policies. They're dying because of Republican policies. And if you haven't noticed on the fucking map, and if you go to those states where women are fucking dying, women are still voting for these dumb fucks. So it's like, I'm going to go walk into the voting booth and vote for somebody that I know, if I got into a bad situation and for some reason had to have an abortion, that they're going to sit there and make it so fucking hard for me that all the doctors and the ERs and hospitals and everybody are going to stand there with their thumbs up their asses because they're too afraid to perform a procedure out of fear of litigation at the fucking state level.
Yeah.
The level of fucking stupid is... Like, it's immeasurable.
But here's what I want you to understand. I'm going to compare Michigan to Texas right now, okay? You have everybody who has, speaking of Michigan, a Democratic governor, Democratic House, Democratic Senate, and the Supreme Court has protected women's rights. Plain and simple. They now don't understand the severity of what women are going through in Texas. So they have this mentality that they literally are safe. They can't be touched. Even if they're Republican, they're like, well, Trump's not going to touch this. They believe that. And so if they're going to be protected by democratic laws that have been implemented and the protections that have been authorized, you now look at what's happening in Texas, where these people are fighting for their lives, regardless of how many are following suit to literally vote against their interests. You're looking at two totally different conversations. Somebody who is now sitting on the sidelines thinking that they have it bad, even though they have no idea what it's like to be what's going on in Texas, versus, well, there'll never be a national abortion ban because Trump said he won't be doing that. He said that, and he denounced Project 2025.
Damn, what did that say about the propositions?
I couldn't tell you. But in this situation,
the abortion proposition,
the situation that's at hand is the ground game and the marketing side of Republicans has been a lot better. You know, I've listened to you for the last couple of months talk about the resume of Trump. It's not landing with anybody who is a supporter of his. What needs to land is the reality of the situation, which is that he is a con man and that you can't have it two different ways. You can't say that you're going to be a dictator on day one, but at the same time, you're not going to have an abortion ban because you're not the same person. If you're going to be dictator on day one, then you're going to do whatever you want to do whenever you want to do it. So it doesn't matter what you say today because you're going to do whatever you want. So that now negates everything else that you have just said to me. And so when you look at a lot of things, you have to look at the context of this. You have a lot of people who are completely engulfed in the whole idea that this man is, you know, Teflon Don, which is a joke. You know, this man is a coward and he hid in a bunker during a Black Lives Matter movement in Washington, D.C. Hid. Lights out. In the basement. Bunker Donnie. That's who this man really is. And so you have to really keep in consideration that some of these really close polls that are happening, the game's not over. And don't let it get twisted. They're going to call foul play because last time at 2 a.m. in 2020, he said that he was winning. So remember this shit. This is the reality. He's bigged up where he thinks he is in charge. He's winning. And, you know, some of us on the more left side could be deflated right now. But history repeating itself, he can take the lead right now. Because in the middle of the night, when all those votes are being tabulated and counted, and that lead completely changes, and then you find yourself with a Madam President by this weekend, you're going to feel very different about yourself. And that's all I'm saying.
I mean, I won't feel different about what I've said at all.
No.
I haven't said anything that
I want to see somebody at that caliber be held accountable by the justice system is what I want more than anything else.
But again, that's the kicker we need to talk about more here too, is if Donald Trump wins this, everything that he's going through, everything in the system that's trying to hold him accountable is gone. It's done. Like he will find a way. He won't be a felon anymore.
Georgia will still be on the books because it's a state. That is still a state lawsuit, which will then be postponed until after his election. Which is whatever bullshit because
they'll find a way to do it.
Happens. Yeah.
They'll find a fucking way to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. But this is the thing where the one thing I was really hoping for, and I don't like to use hope in the context because we have no control over it, but is to actually see corruption be held accountable. And all these suckers and losers and garbage ass people voted for him because they believed they could too be the billionaire, which they never will be. They will work for, they will shine the boots of, and they will be fired and hired and fired again by him and all his lackeys. Because that's all they're good for.
It's like they look at us and they're like, well, we know he's a con man, but he won't con us. Like that's literally
they've handed over their wallet and the deed of their house.
Yep. Why they've got a reoccurring donation for $5,000 a month.
Yeah. And the troll that's in the chat right now is going to be the first one to call, foul play in the middle of the night. And it's, and that's the reality. And that's the thing that I find so interesting. They're going to be the ones screaming, "Stop the steal," because they're feeling themselves. They've been feeling themselves since my man got, shot. And it's just like, well, he must have gotten plastic surgery on his ears because them lobes looking good, brother.
Yep. Elon Musk just tweeted out 22 minutes ago, game, set, and match.
Yeah. And they're going to be screaming something different as of tomorrow. It's going to be the reality of the situation. And be prepared for that. Because they're gassing up their fans. They're gassing up their crew to get ready for what's to come. They want it to be known and they want to have that idea that they are in the lead, that this is the win, that this is done. And when things change, which they always do, this is not new. They always change as the counts go. You count one ballot, the numbers change. and you count how many ballots that are sitting there in that facility, here we go. So in just PA alone, we'll find out what tabulation is there. And as Angry Bunny says, I want Elon to eat his words. And it's like, yeah, it's holding these people, these billionaires, accountable. But I do wonder with North Carolina, how many mail-in ballots, how many early voting has been calculated. It's a reality. And I don't know too much about North Carolina's laws. What's the extent of mail-in ballots that are accepted and counted? How long does that go for? As we know, some states accept up till this Friday, for example. And that's actually one thing, Ryan, I'll say to you, that I do love how different all the states are with their electoral votes, is that you can never really hack our system because it's so chaotic, in a sense, right? And it's like, it's not a cookie cutter. So
yeah. Oh shit. What do we think? You think we should wrap this up at 3 hours or?
Yeah, I think if people are enough hearing my voice and staring at my nostrils stare at this damn screen, this is reality.
Well, we're clearly not going to know anything definitive.
We won't. And, as much as I would love to eat with you tonight, I think I'll have a snack and get ready for the fight that commences tomorrow. That's the reality that we're here for.
Yep.
And Ryan, I wouldn't want to be with anybody else but you, man, on this, because you really are a moral compass for a lot of us, and you say what you think. And I want you to really take that in consideration while you get some rest and you understand that we got work to do. And it's one of those things. Trolls are going to troll. Trump is going to griff, and Elon's going to be an asshole with a mic. And that's why we hold the mic. And that's why we do what we do on this show.
And by the way, there's over 5,000 people watching right now. So do us a favor, hit that like and subscribe button. Go over to our YouTube channel, subscribe there, so that when Elon Musk bans me from Twitter tomorrow, you guys won't miss any of our shows. And as always, thank you for supporting us, especially over this last year as we've built this show. We just hit, I believe we just hit 50 episodes.
How many states are there in America?
360 plus cities.
But 50 to 51 states? Yeah.
Yeah, 50.
That's how many episodes we got.
Yeah.
One per state.
One per state. But again, shout out to all of our watchers overseas as well. We have quite a large following in the UK now, Ireland. We just had Tones on with us for a little while. Like I said, she's been with me for the last 4 years. So, just thank you for all the support, no matter what happens here. I hope you went out and voted, no matter who you voted for, because if you didn't vote, then I don't want to hear any complaining from you.
That's right.
If you didn't do your bare minimum civic duty and go out and make your voice heard, then I don't want to hear it.
And guys, we're going to be back this Friday
yes.
with a whole new show. And you know what? Hopefully we have a Madam President. May the best woman win in this race. And we have the Trumpkin Pumpkin drag queen that that makeup is running off.
Makeup is so bad.
It's so bad. You know what I mean? Done in a back alley.
That's another thing. You're voting for a fucking drag queen when you're trashing drag queens.
It's like, well, she doesn't have talent. Okay, she's like George Santos kind of drag queen. So keep that always in mind. But may the best lady win. And one of the biggest things is, we're going to be here this Friday, and we're going to pick up the pieces from there, realistically. And Ryan, it's good to go to war together, man. This is what we're doing. This is why we're here.
Yeah, I just hope we're not going to war for another 4 years.
Yeah, no, we got the Lions. We got to focus on. All right,
yeah.
This is the Lions year.
At least we have that. At least we have that. Can't fuck that up. Hopefully,
that's gonna be the biggest thing. So,
and a shout out to Aiden Hutchinson, by the way. We love you, man.
I like how Kamala just got California immediately, right off the bat. Just immediately, boom, California, done. So yeah, there it is. You know, like I said, things are going to be happening as we go into the night. Guys, get some rest. This is a marathon. We got things to do. All right?
Yep, I hear that. All right, like I said, hit that like and subscribe button. Come back and see us Friday. Hopefully we'll know who the winner is by then.